Welcome home, Columbia. Beautiful, beautiful.
Come on and shoot.
All right, welcome back to NWGLS. NWLGLS?
Sometimes? Wait, what? Hi!
Hey! Whoa!
Whoa. It's been a little while, hasn't it?
I guess when I say welcome back, we're welcoming back after...
Are we welcoming ourselves back? What's going on here?
I think we're more welcoming ourselves back than we're really welcoming back the
no one that's going to be listening.
Yeah.
There's going to be 4 people out there that are still subscribed to this shitty podcast, and they're going to be like, "Whoa, the hell's going on, man? Must be a glitch."
Let me hit play just because this is they probably got hacked, and this is someone wanting to extend my warranty. I know Edward James Olmo still has got the
is out there listening.
Yeah.
He's watching all our tweets still,
patiently waiting. Yes, we
and
are
Sinbad.
back. After it's been a few years.
It's been a while.
A couple things happened, obviously COVID.
Yeah.
And I think while most people probably dug deeper into podcasting, we said, fuck it. I think it's because we're naturalists that want to do it face to face.
Yeah. And we were so used to doing that. We tried a couple of times. We did put out a couple of episodes where we did some remote stuff.
Yeah.
And it just didn't really groove.
Didn't have the same flow. I think we also just didn't have the technology as a group.
Yeah.
Today actually it is just me, Nathan, and Ray.
That's me.
Like right now it's where we're at. But obviously we still will always invite our buddy TJ and Chuck back, and if anybody else wants it's just we had the time, and it was honestly kind of off the cuff, and we're like, hey, let's get together and let's podcast.
Here, I'm gonna listen. I'm gonna level with you guys. This is what happened. Nathan bought in his and he said, "Hey man, come over, drink some beers." And then he wanted to show me the microphone. He said, "You know what this would be good for? Podcasting." So here we are.
I mean, that's the short end of it. It was, hey, I got a nice mic.
Trying to get out, and he just reeled me back in.
Just as I got out, they bring me back in.
Exactly.
So, as far as a lot of it's going to be the same. We plan on just kind of really talking about the nerd stuff that we love, diving into what we've been into, going over the news, because that's always been something that we truly love. But we figured that probably one of the better things to do is just kind of bring you guys on a quick what we've been up to,
where we're at. Yeah, what's going on in our lives.
When we last left off, we were like really into I think
nerd things.
I think Avengers that came out. No. And a lot of that's still been the same. One of the big things that has really changed for me that I've dove in and gotten into big is D&D.
Yeah, really. Nathan's been doing a lot of dungeon mastering lately. Y'all are on y'all's, is this the third campaign, and this is the second full forced
so this is I would actually call it more our second full-on campaign. This is our second year. We did a full year last year. Prior to that, leading up to it, I've always wanted to do a D&D. I played D&D once or twice, and actually it came up on my time hop. It was about 9 years ago. I was like, oh, look at that.
Ooh.
But Ray wouldn't be the GM because
I wouldn't be the general manager.
He wouldn't be the game master. There's GM and DM. And I said, you know what, the hell with it, I'll do it. So I ran a couple of games with Ray and a couple of friends, and we did those one-offs. And then I was like, I found an actual group of guys that would commit to playing every other week, usually, is what our goal for. And we ran a full campaign. It was my first campaign ever, and it was a lot of fun. I actually really enjoyed it. And so much that I was like, hey, let's roll a second year. And we actually brought another guy in. And since then, I've now I'm full on nerd with being a dungeon master. I use a lot.
You've really fallen into it pretty heavy.
Yeah. I bought a 3D printer. So I could, so just to print the minis.
Yeah.
I do live. We use a TV to use our maps, so I use a lot of live maps or create my own maps. So a very digital, very bougie. Some people might say.
Well, and from that, like I had been doing a lot. I've painted like 5 miniatures or something. I have so much like paint and stuff, but never get to do it. Well, and you've also for this gotten into like painting minis and stuff like that. We've had a couple of times when we got together and just like painted stuff. It was a lot of fun. It's cool to do that stuff like together with people instead of just by myself.
It's one of those,
like sending pictures through Facebook Messenger to people.
It's like a weird thing that you wouldn't think painting miniatures would be a group activity, and it's not necessarily really a group activity, but it's something that you can. It's already relaxing.
Yes, yeah. Which is something that surprised me about it, like how relaxing it was. I just got into it because I got a Star Wars game that had a lot of minis with it, and I was like, this would be cool to paint. And then like I realized, it takes me several hours to paint some of these things, but it's real relaxing. It's pretty cool.
It's one of those, if you've ever been interested, and this is just like the real quick sell you on it, they have real cheap like beginner sets just to try it. Yeah. And you'd be really surprised just sitting there. It's something to do with your hands, and the end result, it's that little bit of accomplishment. It's like, oh, that's kind of cool.
Yeah.
And each time you do it, you get better.
That's the cool thing, like how much better you can get if you actually do it.
And you can do it for a small investment, a couple brushes. But what a lot of times people do it by themselves. I do it by myself. It's just listening to music or a podcast. Yeah. But like to have a friend come over, you talk. Sometimes you sit in silence for like 30 minutes as you get on it. But it's also. It's like you feed off of that energy of like, oh, that's pretty cool what he's doing over there. Let me try that over here, or ask questions for ideas. So that's, I think, more than anything for D&D is the community part of it and the friendship of like, at least once to twice a month I get to hang out with all my buddies. Ray still shows up. He doesn't always Ray doesn't play. He's actually a big fan. He's a spectator.
D&D's a spectator sport for me.
He likes to show up about an hour late and just
with some beers, just sit there and watch them.
Yeah, man. Throw little sly comments. But you get to just hang out and have a lot of fun. You get a lot of laughs. And then the other activities like printing the 3Ds, and for me it's a lot of the creativity of like coming up with I do homebrew, so I don't run modules or anything like that. So I come up with my own stories, heavily stolen from books and stuff I love, but it's all, created from my own mind. And it allows you, if you've ever thought about being a DM, it takes a lot of that fear of like, oh my God, I need to know everything, because you realize you don't. You just need to know enough and go by the rule of cool, as long as everybody's having fun. Yeah. That's the biggest thing I've always learned. If you've ever wanted to play D&D, plenty of stories of people that have been playing for like 20 years now, and they're like, when we were first playing, like we rolled a D20 for everything. We didn't realize that there was different dice. But if you walk away from the table, you had fun. That's cool. And so like that's my plea to anybody that's ever wanted to play D&D and you can't find someone to do it, and you're just like, damn it, I'll be the DM. Yeah. Just do it. You'll have fun.
Well, and it's one of those things like, how old were you when you started doing D&D? Like, most people start when they're like 12 or something. Yeah, we were like old ass adults, mid-30s. Starting to play D&D and stuff like that, which seems kind of lame, but it's still like cool, Well, I don't know if it's cool, but it's fun. It's fun. It's at least fun.
Yeah. So that has been, I say, probably one of the bigger things of my nerdom has really became what I'm obsessed with. I still do my music. Another crazy thing since we've been gone is we both had kids.
Yeah, so that sometimes part of our name.
Yeah, so we live up to it.
Yeah.
I just had a kid a month ago, and Ray, I guess you had a kid prior when we were doing the party, and then you had your beautiful daughter.
Yeah, I have a second kid now. She is wild and very, very loud. There were a few. So me and Allison did a couple of podcasts on the channel. And Mayday, who's my daughter, was involved with those, and there were a couple of instances of us having to tell her to shut up. The little 6-month-old telling her to shut the fuck up while we're podcasting and everything. So, like, it's if you've listened to any of this stuff, I don't think anyone listened to those podcasts, but they're out there, and so that's been crazy.
Now, Ray, what about you? I've been D&D'ing. Now, you've actually went a lot more You became a real life druid.
Yeah, y'all used to talk about how old I was, and y'all used to make jokes about that. I've gotten real heavy into gardening. Not as cool. I built a gardening and like light woodworking, I guess I would say. I built a lot of raised beds for me out at Big Brown, and we've been growing we just harvested a big old thing of potatoes. We got a bunch of taters.
I'm going to tell you guys, if you want to just see some of the most boring social media, follow Ray and his wife as they post the most just photos of plants. I will say at least Allison makes pretty photos.
Yeah, she does much prettier things than I do.
Ray is usually it's like this upward like of your chin and nostrils as you like circle around showing your bed. It's mostly your head, and in the background there's like you can catch a glimmer.
It's got some true boomer energy to it, for real.
You can catch a glimmer of vegetation.
Yeah.
So apparently when you start gardening, you also just fully just go full old man.
Yeah, full old man. I've been doing a lot of that. I've still been doing a lot of the 3D printing that I was doing before when we... both Nathan and I have resin printers now. I don't know. I think one of the last episodes we did, I've got one of my resin printers. So I've been still doing a lot of that kind of stuff. I've been printing out like some props and stuff like that, like Star Wars guns and stuff like that. That is kind of cool. And then like painting those up. That's been a lot of fun to do. Been doing the gardening, of course, and still into board games. We haven't got to play as many, but so here's probably the biggest news we have. We finally played Kingdom Death.
Yeah, that's right, we did. After if you go back to when we first started podcasting,
yeah,
Ray mentioned Kingdom Death, and it finally showed up.
Yeah.
And then Ray sat on it like a chicken waiting for an egg to hatch, and just kept telling us, hey man, I just got to paint a couple figures.
Yeah.
And when we finally played, I realized he only had to paint 5 figures.
It wasn't very many.
And it was not...
And I still haven't painted all 5 of those. I think I painted 3.
And one of them's a white lion.
Yeah.
So it wasn't even...
just spray paint that shit white.
But we finally played it, and... It was like the hype was built up for so long because it's a good game. It is a good game, but it was like in your head. I think the legend of it became more.
No, I could. Yeah.
But we finally played a few times actually.
Yeah, we played a couple of sessions of it. And I really enjoyed it. I know you're like these guys are all like a little bit more into the D&D now, so we don't do as many board games. Although my my purchasing of board games has not leveled off any. But we've played a lot fewer. Again, COVID and all that stuff kind of killed some of that. But we have gotten a few games. We played
a few Star Wars, and we actually got to finally play. Was it Fast Food?
Oh, Food Chain Magnet.
Food Chain Magnet.
And then we also played Sleeping Gods.
Yeah, so we
played through that. That was pretty fun.
Yeah, so we did get a few in. We'll have to do a bigger segment, but the difference of where like certain games like the fast food one I really enjoyed.
Yeah, that one was really good. That one lived up to hype, I feel like, for
the
that.
Issue with Kingdom Death, is like it feels like it has this feel of a D&D type of campaign with this big overarching story. There's like this camp, but the restriction of the rules when you're so used to the freedom of like D&D of creativity.
Which is one of the funny things because I enjoy kind of the guidelines of things, so I enjoy the guidelines of these rules, and then of course Nathan for D&D likes the freedom of everything. I don't get to play as much of the D&D, and I do really enjoy some of that because we did do that one little campaign where we were like really high levels, and I was a rogue, a high level rogue.
We've done a couple of fun one
really
shots.
Fun.
Yeah.
And I did also get to play a druid one time. That was I loved that character.
And you've also partake in there's a sci-fi campaign we do that our friend Jack runs.
Yeah.
So you get to every once in a while experience it.
Every now and then.
But he's not fully on there. But yeah, so gardening and board games.
Gardening board games, man.
Killing his back.
Yeah, I'm still reading a lot of comics. All the X-Men stuff that's come out with the who was it? The all the Way of X and the X of Swords and all all the X-Men stuff that's come out. I've been keeping pretty much up with all of that because like X-Men's kind of back, baby. It's been real good. So comic book wise, since there's been so much X-Men, I haven't got to read a whole lot of other stuff. I've read a few little one-off things. I read this really cool, it's got some really good art. I don't know if I even told you about this, called Mouse Guard, and it's just like these mice that are like knights and stuff, and they protect their little like mouse kingdoms and stuff like that.
That sounds fun.
There's a lot of like people like betraying the Mouse Guard and stuff. It was pretty cool. I read it on Comixology, and then I picked up the books from it because I was like, man, this is pretty cool, and the art is just like really, really cool. It's different than other things. So there've been other things like that I've read some stuff. So I'm still comic booking. Funny enough, during COVID, all collecting went out of control. So prices of a lot of things just went through the roof. So I haven't really been like hardcore collecting and trying to get like my grails and all that lately because they're just so expensive. I've actually thought about like selling a bunch of mine because I could make some.
You'll never do it.
And I won't. You know I won't. I will never do it. But I've thought about it.
Right now is the time to sell, and you're not going to do it.
I'm not gonna.
And what's going to happen is in 3 years, Ray's going to tell me about how much money he could have made if he would have sold. He's like, I'm just sitting on all this money. Man, if I would have sold 3 years ago, I could have bought me.
Yeah, because some of these things, like the Miles Morales, first appearance of Miles Morales has gone like out of control. It's just like, it could be in the thousands. I don't have mine graded, but I have that. And yeah, there's just a lot of that stuff that's wild. But it's also expensive to grade that stuff. So
you got to invest. Yeah, I've been, I still do a lot of reading. Like tons of books. Got into Stephen King for a while. I think he's been covered numerous times. So,
yes.
And like his books are just always, they're old reliables is what I call them.
Yeah. Allison has actually gotten into Audible recently. So she's been,
can't go wrong with
she's been listening to some
rough
stuff, man. Rough stuff.
You'll cook through it if you got. Michael J. Sullivan released the new novel called Nolan, part of Rhaenyra Chronicles.
Right on. I know you're super into those.
And enjoying that. That's about the only book of like big. There's actually a bunch of books I read and enjoyed. I don't want to bore you guys with my book reviews.
Yeah.
That's another podcast.
Watching a lot of movies, watching a lot of shows.
Yeah, so shows. Tell me a couple of shows that you that really stood out. Like, keep it somewhat current.
Well, I guess somewhat current.
The Office, huh?
Yeah, I've been rewatched through The Office, rewatched through Parks and Rec. No, we did finally watch, and I think this is relatively current. Handmaid's Tale.
No, that's not current. I mean, I think it
has a current.
It's been around
season.
Yeah.
And it's I think it's got another season coming out soon. We watched through all of that though. That is a rough watch, but it was good.
Life imitating art.
Yeah, that's the scary thing.
It's scary.
The Expanse. I finally binged through all of that.
I actually started The Expanse this month.
How have you liked it so far?
So I'm 6 episodes in.
Okay. I feel like 6 episodes in, you're still trying to figure out what the hell's going on.
I don't dislike it by any means. Mm-hmm. It's definitely like there's a lot go. My issue with stories like, especially because it's a sci-fi show, is they're trying to set a lot of stuff up, which I see is going to pay off. But like, and maybe it's I just have a harder time following what's going on, even though I watched plenty of other shows that have the same.
I felt the exact same way. So I watched the first like 5 or 6 episodes, like a long time before I watched the rest of them, and I kind of just fell off. And then I was just looking for something else to watch. So I picked it back up again, and it's one of those things. I think there's 10 or 12 episodes in season 1. I don't remember, but it's one of those things that is one of those shows where it gets to the end of the season and there's a twist that twists the entire story. And there's plenty of shows that the first seasons are so throwaway setup, which I hate because you got to kind of see. I didn't feel like it was throwaway setup because there's a lot of good, like Thomas Jane's character in it's really good and like a fun watch. But like I said, it turns into something different. Kind of like Game of Thrones. You watch the whole, you're like, oh, knights. You forget about, there were zombies at the beginning of this. And then all of a sudden at the end, dragons? What the hell is going on with this? It's kind of got one of those kind of things.
And that's what I was going to actually use as a comparison of like multiple things going on. But Game of Thrones, I was able to follow it a lot easier with the political intrigue. Because like, I love that type of stuff. Yeah. And I like.
Well, this has a lot of that as well.
But that's what I'm saying. There's a lot of political.
Gotcha.
I mean, most of the story is political intrigue.
Yeah.
And, all the stuff with Mars, the Belters and stuff. So cool show. Definitely not knocking it. And I know people love it, so I'm going to keep pushing through because I think the final season came out just recently. I
think this maybe it was 2021, the end of 2021 or something like that. But I've definitely gotten through the whole thing. I did not watch it when it dropped the final season. I waited a little bit, but then I jumped into it.
Must have been recently because I know during the D&D, like a couple of the guys are really into it, so they were looking forward to the new.
They were talking about it.
Yeah,
gotcha.
Recently, one of the shows I watched a couple things. Severance. So Apple TV, I've been trying more shows out.
Yeah.
Severance.
They have several. I think under the radar shows.
I had seen pictures of Severance, and after I watched it, I started looking at people are like talking all about it. Apparently, it has a lot of hype. Very like workplace sci-fi.
That's weird.
The quick premise of it is that there's this company that if you go work for them, they have figured out a way to split your mind. And once you go down this elevator, you become you're still yourself, but you have no memory of who you are on the outside. And once you go out, you have no memory of who you are on the inside.
Wild.
So they call them innies and outies. So like, the innies. So like to give you an example, if you're an innie, when you walk through that elevator and you walk back, almost no time has actually moved. It's like you just turned around. So like you're constantly working there.
Yeah.
And on the same, if like you are, when you go to work, you go down an elevator, you don't remember it comes out, you've like lost no time. So it's a very interesting concept. And a lot of the,
those innies have a horrible life.
Because also everything's very drab. It's very like 1970s look. Like they're heavily monitored on everything they do.
Okay.
They don't even know what they're really doing.
Okay.
Like so the people that work in this, it's a 4-man cubicle, and they look at these numbers and they wait for a number that scares them. And like then they click on it and remove it, but it's doing something they have no idea.
Weird.
And as they start they start like mingling with like other branches, and it's a very just well done show. Christopher Walken's in it. I
had no clue.
Yeah, he has a small part, great part. I literally first episode's a little slow, just setting up the premise, but after that first episode, I couldn't stop watching it.
Okay.
And it ends on probably one of the better cliffhangers of a season.
Okay.
And the reason I started watching it is because I thought there was a couple seasons out. Because I had heard about it on like Reddit once or twice, and I always try and ignore that stuff so I don't read any spoilers. So I just knew of the show, and the cliffhanger goes, let's, and then there was no more episodes.
Oh no!
And I was like so upset. But I can't suggest Severance enough if you're looking for a show. And actually, I didn't realize that. Yeah, this show just recently came out, so that was one that really stuck out.
Well, and I feel like Apple TV doesn't get, like, a lot of people don't talk about it as a streaming service, but like also Ted Lasso is the only thing that's gotten anything, and that's a great show.
That show is amazing. That was the first show I watched on Apple TV. The first show I've ever watched on Apple TV, period. And I was like, this is an amazing show.
Yeah.
It's probably one of the best feel-good shows.
Yeah.
Well acted. Andy Sudeikis, I think
that's right.
He just kills that role. And I can't get enough of it. Like I said, Roy Kent.
Yeah, gosh, I love that guy.
When Roy Kent is reading fucking, it's gonna kill the Tom Hanks movie with the angels and stuff.
Oh gosh, Field of Dreams? No. Tom Hanks.
That's Kevin Costner with the baseball. The one, the Bible mystery, Da Vinci Code. when he's reading.
Oh gosh,
he's reading. I don't know if there's actually angels in it, but like he just keeps making like out loud commentary. And I've never cared for the Da Vinci Code, but like Roy Kent being so into it almost made me read that stupid book because he's just like, oh my god, you got to see this. So that one, was great. Ted Lasso. I've tried a couple other ones. I tried the Blind show with Aquaman. Jason Momoa is in it, where everybody's blind. It's I
don't know that one.
It had a lot of hype because it's I think it was Apple's trying to do their Game of Thrones.
Gotcha.
And the concept is like literally everyone is blind in this world, and like and they're all very barbaric, and they fight, and there's a war going on. And
no, I missed that one.
I watched like the first 2 episodes. It wasn't bad, but it just didn't hook me.
We did start the Haley Steinfeld, from True Grit and Bumblebee, and recently Hawkeye. She has one that's Dickinson, Emily Dickinson, and it's wild because it's so like kind of modernized, but it's definitely still in the period. And it's on there. So like Wiz Khalifi, is that he's like the devil in it and stuff like that. So it's like that kind of stuff. And they talk very, very modern in it. So she's like, shut the fuck up, that kind of stuff. And that one's been kind of interesting. So there are some gems on there that I think a lot of people don't realize, because I never hear anyone talk about other than Ted Lasso. Oh, Apple TV. Did you watch this?
The Newsroom.
Oh, okay.
That one is pretty well renowned, and Christy watched it.
Is that the one that Mindy Kaling wrote?
I don't know if she wrote it. I know she's in it.
Part of it. I think she produces it or something. I don't remember. She has something to do with it.
But it has Reese Witherspoon, and and that one was actually Steve Carell's in it. He plays. It's kind of like he gets Me Too'd. He was a morning show host. At least that's the premise that kicks the show off.
Gotcha.
And really well acted. Actually, it was one of those that like she was really into it, so she just kept watching. I was like, hey, that's fine. So yeah, Apple TV, like I said, I think a lot of people don't talk about it as much. Well, and there is some good stuff, but they don't have a lot of stuff.
No. But it is one of those that, like, if you're looking for something else, like you've gone through all your Netflix, you've gone all your Hulu, you've gone on your Disney Pluses. There's some stuff to try out on there.
Get that free month and just watch.
Yeah, and watch a few of these things. Anything else you had that you've been over the last 13 years?
No, I mean, like, the only other shows, just to touch real quick, and most of these are still kind of current. Yellowstone, I finally gave it. That's probably the most boomer show I've ever watched.
Okay.
It's soap opera.
I want to watch the Sam Elliott one for sure, but the Kevin Costner one, I don't think I would hate.
I love Kevin Costner, but it's just.
I think the comparison to like Dallas and Knots Landing and stuff like that are what have kind of killed me on it a little bit.
I never watched Dallas or anything, but I
didn't either, but I can imagine.
I could like I said, it's one of those, I gave it a try, and it's just automatically hooks you because it's just crazy story after crazy story.
Yeah.
And it's pretty well acted. Okay. Love, Death, and Robots season 3.
Oh gosh, how did we? Yeah, I feel like this is not getting enough hype. Season 1 and 2 were excellent, and season 3, like, the worst episode, what I thought was the worst episode, was still like a really good episode.
I stress it. I tell people all the time, I was like, if you have not watched Love, Death, and Robots, you're doing yourself a disservice because it's an anthology. So it's story after story.
And it's like, usually the longest episode's like 26, 27 minutes. Yeah. So they're very easy to watch.
7 minutes to like 26 minutes. Like they're bite size.
Yeah, absolutely.
But they do such a good job of setting up a world, a story. You're automatically just bought in, and it just flows so well.
And some of the concepts are so big. Yeah,
great sci-fi.
They can tell such good stories in 27 minutes or less.
And the graphics are groundbreaking. I mean, top of the class. If you've never watched Love, Death, Robots,
that's
please.
A Netflix one.
Watch it. It's on Netflix.
Everyone has Netflix. You got it. Give it a try.
I'll tell you what, if you've never watched it, that's a lot of content for you to watch. Because the first season was like, I think almost 20 episodes.
Yeah, something.
After that, they went to very like quick 10 episode runs and stuff. And then one more thing that I think's worth noting. I'm in the middle watching. So Peacock, I believe, is this. They've done a couple, like they did Pam and Tommy. I know some people watch that.
I think that was on Hulu. We watched that on Hulu. I don't know if it was a Peacock. We watched it on Hulu.
Maybe it was Hulu, but there's been these shows. So I watched Angeline. And it is... So Angeline is a Peacock show. I had never heard of her, but apparently she was a 80s icon in the 80s. She all of a sudden was on a bunch of billboards in LA. She was this busty blonde woman and was just like surrounded in mystique. And so it's a pseudo documentary where like they shoot it where you think that is a current documentary with all actors, and then it also has just the regular scenes acted out as well. It reminds me very much of the same style and feel as Pam and Tommy. That's the only reason I brought it up. Worth the watch. It's kind of a weird show. The character is really weird. She's the main girl in Shameless, if you've ever watched Shameless.
Okay.
She's the like head daughter, matriarch or whatever you want to call. If you're looking for just like kind of a interesting story and just a little bit bizarre, watch Angeline.
Oh, so she was a real person.
No, yeah, she's absolutely it's a real person.
Apparently she was in Earth Girls Are Easy.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
I was just looking it up while we were talking about it. I can't find the actual show, but I found the actual person.
Look up and just type in Angeline Peacock.
I tried. Peacock. They don't do that on IMDb.
But yeah, so anyway, that's been like the main shows recently that really stood out to me. Anything on your side?
I mean, other than the ones I already mentioned, of course. Of course, I've been y'all guys. If you've listened to this ever, you guys know me. I've been watching all the Marvel stuff, of course, all the Disney Plus stuff, all the Star Wars stuff. All of that typical nerd stuff. Me and Allison did a season on Captain America and Winter Soldier. We watched that, of course. WandaVision, Loki. What was the most? Hawkeye. All that stuff. We've been into that. So, and of course the Marvel movies and all that kind of stuff. So yeah, all the typical stuff you would expect me to be watching.
Well, that actually brings us to a quick break, and I think what we should do is we'll come back and let's dive into some of that stuff that came out recently.
Stuff.
Yeah.
Okay.
We're going to talk about Obi-Wan, Stranger Things, Doctor Strange, Moon Knight. A couple of the current things that came out, just to kind of touch on those.
And one surprise that I have that you and I didn't talk about, but we got to throw it out
surprise.
there.
All right. All right, welcome back. So,
we got Nathan rubbed me down with some icy hot on my back from doing all my gardening today.
You have this nice aroma of dirt.
Thank you.
And jalapenos.
We call it soil in the gardening biz.
Some industry lingo you got over there. It smells like dirt. Anyway. There's been a lot, like this is like the perfect time to come back because there's been some really good shows that have dropped lately.
Oh yeah.
There's been some movies, and we'll talk about one because we don't want to over-inundate you guys with like the millions and millions of different things that have happened. But let's start with the movie. Let's start with Doctor Strange.
Yeah, so this just dropped a couple of weeks ago, and Multiverse of Madness. That's been the thing for a while. The Spider-Man one came out.
Multiverse is so hot right now.
The multiverse is so hot right now. But going into it, I wasn't really. The first Doctor Strange was fine. It's not one that I revisit a lot, and Doctor Strange is fine as a character. He's been good in some of the other Marvel movies.
I think he's a great side character.
He is. I think he's better in not his movies, like in other things.
Before watching this movie, I would have 100 and I will say that as we dive in, I think he is one of the weaker links. Like I didn't, and I thought this was a good movie. So let me just go ahead and put that out as a preface. Yeah, the first Doctor Strange movie, I didn't care for.
BT Dubs, let's go ahead and throw this out there. If you've listened to us, you know this. But everything we're about to talk about, spoilers.
Yeah,
we're gonna have spoilers there.
And we'll try not to deep dive into this, but there's definitely some things you just got to talk about.
Oh, absolutely. So we had the Spider-Man movie, which kind of cracked open the whole multiverse idea. There was a lot of secrecy.
Was it WandaVision that cracked it open?
I mean, true-ish, but you did you even watch WandaVision?
Yeah.
Okay. So, that's the Phase 4 thing. That's kind of been what we've had Eternals, we had Black Widow, so it didn't start off super hot. And then we got the Spider-Man one. That was really good. We all enjoyed that, I believe.
I did.
A lot of people, people were talking about, oh, Toby's coming back. Oh, Andrew's coming back. And everyone says, oh, no, that's not happening. Of course. There it was. It did happen. So we got the multiverse stuff starting up. And now we got Doctor Strange. And I will say, for a person who's watched all of the Marvel stuff, reads a bunch of Marvel comics, there were a lot of things in this I was not expecting.
Oh, really?
They I think they did a really. I mean, they always do this stuff. They did it with Infinity War. They did it with Endgame. There's a lot of stuff that they're good at misdirection, but definitely wasn't expecting Wanda to be the big bad in the whole thing.
No, agreed. I was pleasantly surprised, I guess, because I will say, like, going off when we watched the trailers, 100% thought that the bad guy was going to be a Doctor Strange, like there was another universe Doctor Strange, like that's kind of how,
or there was going to be some demony Doctor Strange thing that was going to show up, and that was like the puppet master behind everything.
And so when the reveal as it came through, and it was pretty early, it's like, oh, Wanda's the bad guy, and at first I was like, okay, she's the bad guy right now.
Yeah, and this is going to change because
they're going to twist.
Something
else is going to happen.
Didn't ever happen,
and it just made her like
worse,
crazier and worse. And you got to like also just touch base that this is Sam Raimi,
absolutely,
and all his little just Raimi-isms.
Raimi-isms. Because I will say right off the bat, I think with a lot of the Marvel movies, they like to get newer people. Like, that's kind of where a lot of people like cut their teeth. They've had Joss Whedon and stuff like that, and he's done stuff before, but a lot of his stuff was TV stuff before he came to do Avengers. James Gunn, same thing. He hadn't done any huge stuff, so like they kind of like to get newer directors on it. But Sam Raimi is a veteran, and I feel like that shined through. In this movie, you could tell the difference between having a veteran director working on something like this.
Well, not only a veteran, but also someone that style has a unique.
He has a voice, very specific style.
Yeah, he has a voice to the way he shoots a movie. He has just those things like, besides Bruce Campbell, there's certain camera angles. There's a way he utilizes mirrors, eyes. Yeah. There's all these like callbacks that he does. Even his fucking car is in it. He just does these little things, and I think he helmed it because I know they were kind of pseudo horror movie. I mean, it definitely was never going to be full on horror.
No, it's had MCU, but it was elements much more horror-esque than anything else.
Scary elements is what I would say. But there was definitely, as the movie proceeded and stuff like that, where I was just like, as Wanda almost became a Deadite. Yeah. When Doctor Strange, goes into the other universe to bring himself back as a zombie.
Yeah, that was the other thing.
Right out of Ash.
But that was another twist. Obviously, during the trailer, I was like, okay, this is a zombie Doctor Strange. This is obviously probably going to come from the What Ifs movie where Doctor Strange, where the zombies were all, you had the zombie episode and all. That's probably what this is coming from. No, that zombie Doctor Strange was the good guy.
Yeah,
that was another thing that just like blew my mind. I was like, oh wow, that's a twist as well.
But you have him, and also you got Danny Elfman doing the score.
Yeah,
amazing score.
And again, the score was so good in this. Little things like because of course from the trailer we knew Patrick Stewart was going to be reprising his role as Professor X, but when he came out on the stage and they give that little callback to the cartoon X-Men's theme.
That was brilliant.
Oh God, I lost it. And of course the other surprise, Jim shows up as, like, people have been wanting this forever. Like,
true fan service.
Fan casting of God, what's his name? His real name. Why can't I think of it?
Oh, Jim Halpert from The Office.
Yes. Why can't we think of this? We're so stupid. But yeah, it shows up as Mr. Fantastic. They also did the callback. I can't remember the dude's name. I loved him in Hell on Wheels, but he was in
John Krasinski.
Why couldn't we think of that? We are so dumb. It's because we have these fucking microphones in front of us. But yeah, the dude that played Black Bolt in the really bad Inhumans show that was on, I think, Hulu or whatever, showed back up as Black Bolt. Like they went that deep, and were okay bringing the dude back and everything.
But gave him the costume and the full look.
Yeah, and you know,
Captain Marvel. Is it? No. Sorry, who? Agent Carter?
Agent Carter. Yeah, and I guess that's the first live action Agent Carter we've gotten. But of course, it's the same girl that played
from What If
from the Agent Carter show and the Captain America movie and everything. So there was like they had done with. Honestly, since Infinity War, they gave a lot of fan service with that. They gave a ton of fan service with Endgame. Spider-Man was basically fan service, just bringing Tobey back, but this was again more fan service. But it was a short scene. It didn't really push the plot forward too much or anything like that. It could have totally not been there, and the movie would have still been fine. But it was fun. It
was one of those that I enjoyed the hell of it while watching.
Oh, absolutely.
It was great. But yeah, and in hindsight, it's like, okay, they didn't necessarily have to do that because...
And they definitely went through it real quick.
Yeah.
Like, they killed everyone off real quick.
Because it's one of... I that could have been service to more developing Wanda as the villain. You know, because that was... Not necessarily a qualm, but it's like nowadays we're like, you have to watch everything to like fully follow in this movie because even though they set it up, it's such throwaway lines, exposition at the very beginning of why Wanda's bad.
Yeah.
They did a full show, so if you watch the show, it's like, okay, you got all this backstory.
You know exactly what's going on.
But if you've been skipping Disney Plus and you just watch the movies, you're like, oh, what Wanda's bad? She had kids? Like, you know, it's just like, what the hell? So it's like a lot of like catch up. Okay, this is what's going on. And
I think they did that relatively tastefully. It was pretty quickly done to like catch everyone up.
But that's not good cinema.
No, I know. I think as good as that can be done with the that's one of the things you're falling into with a lot of this MCU now. It has so much continuity. And you know, that's one of the things that makes it hard to jump into comic books nowadays because there's so much continuity. And we're getting to that point with
it's
MCU.
A give or take. You get the good with the bad.
Absolutely.
I will also say, and it was absolutely gorgeous when they were going through all the different universes.
Yeah,
I was disappointed on the lack of universes that they jumped.
Yeah, so
you get
Multiverse of Madness, and you get a few multiverses.
You get a awesome montage.
Yeah.
And then they live in they arrive in New York with flowers.
Yeah.
And then they go underground to a very boring area that is like very and then they go to the other place where I guess it's imploding, which was very cool graphically, and he has the awesome fight, music fight, Danny Elfman.
Yeah, that was great.
But that was the only other thing that I can say where I was like, man, I was really hoping there would be a lot more jumping around in universes and getting to see stuff. But it's a movie where the whole world wasn't at state. At least
it was all about this one girl. It was all about America Chavez. Like Wanda wanted to kill her and take her powers,
and Doctor Strange
wasn't having it.
Yeah, it wasn't like she wanted to get the powers to destroy the universe.
Yeah,
she was just going to go to a universe that was kids and get her kids back, or take kids
and have that power still have America's. And I also enjoyed the fact that Doctor Strange was pretty shitty in every other timeline.
Yeah,
it was like that makes sense. You know?
So overall, I have to say it was a good movie. Highly suggested. If you didn't watch it, if you're waiting until it comes out, hey, no,
I
thought it was a great theater movie.
Yeah, I honestly think I maybe enjoyed it more than the Spider-Man movie.
I'd have to I enjoyed them both. I think pretty equally. They were both really good.
Yeah.
There was just a lot of fun.
Oh, absolutely. And that was one of the things with it. It was these both were just good popcorn movies.
Yeah.
But they had, and these are they're superhero movies, guys. They're comic book movies. Yeah. There's not a huge amount of depth there, but there was a decent amount for a blockbuster popcorn movie. So I enjoyed it a lot. Of course I did.
If you want to be shoehorned in the love interest, and I feel him and was that Amy? Rachel, yeah.
Is it Rachel McAdams?
Yeah. They have zero chemistry.
Oh no, yeah, The whole scene at the beginning with the wedding and all that was kind of like.
I was just like, I just don't see him pining over this. But that's Shinfo. Oh, did you have a surprise before I go on? Because I got more stuff in my notes.
Okay, yeah. So one of the things that I wanted to bring up, a movie that both of us enjoyed thoroughly, way more than we thought we should, just hit Disney Plus this week. Chip and Dale's Rescue Rangers.
Oh, dude, that movie was great.
Wasn't it?
That movie, I almost was speechless as like how stupidly good that movie was. That was, it made me think of Who Framed Roger Rabbit.
Absolutely.
It was.
Did you watch Chip and Dale a lot when you were a kid? Because it was one of mine that was in rotation.
It definitely. I mean, like it was afternoon Disney.
Yep.
You know, and it was one that I would watch. I don't remember it a lot, obviously, because DuckTales took more of my memory of those shows.
Well, and wherever I watched it, they were back and back. You watched DuckTales and then Chip and Dale, or Chip and Dale and then DuckTales.
Right.
So every weekday I was watching both of those.
But. It was a movie. I was like, okay, you know, hey, we'll check it out. I watched the trailer. I was like, that seems decent. It's something to watch.
Yeah,
I loved it.
Well, and Elliot is 3 years old now, so we decided we were going to have a big boy movie night and just watch a movie because we watch things. He watches stuff, but we don't watch movies with him a lot because he's still kind of young. But he was so hyped, and he would tell everyone, "Hey, what are we watching? What are we doing this weekend? Oh, big boy movie night. What are we going to watch? McDonald's Rescue Rangers." I don't know where that came from, but he was sure we were watching McDonald's
He was hoping
Rescue
there was a tie-in.
Exactly.
He was dropping hints.
Yeah.
And your old ass
I'm dropping them left and right. I'm not catching them.
Yeah.
But
how much did you charge for entry? To really make them feel it.
But yeah, like dumb stuff as far as like Ugly Sonic. God.
Even having Chip and Dale in two different formats. One is the new CGI there, one's the old animated.
Yeah.
And the why, because one's running the con circuit. You know, he's
still
updated.
trying to make it.
Yeah, he's still trying to. He still got the chance, because that's what I love. All these characters, they were actors.
Yeah.
You know, so you just caught them in a glimpse in the middle of a show. Yeah. That was them acting. That's why their voices were that way.
Yep.
Because once they get done, they have regular dude voices.
Yeah.
And just it's a good, it's a caper. They got their buddy that's missing, and they're trying to find him. And that
Monterey Jack.
Yep. They haven't spoke to each other in 20 years.
Yeah.
They had a fallout. I mean, it's just well set up.
Yes.
And well executed. And the jokes,
are great. They're so good. Because they're so they know what they're doing.
Self-aware.
That's what I'm looking for.
They had even you were kind of the uncanny valley. They make the joke of that in the early 2000s, where everything looked really real, but it also looked super fake.
Yes. Then they bring up, because they're shitting on Alvin and the Chipmunks, of course, all the time. Because why are there so many chipmunk-based kid shows? Anyway, and they're like, there's a commercial. Alvin and the Chipmunks. This time they rap, and
they always got to rap.
Yeah, he's like, they always got to rap, and then of course they end up having to rap, and it's just But
I like that they took the joke and they spun it in the head, and instead of them rapping really well and having these cool verses and bars,
or supposed to be cool,
it's just terrible. It's them rapping about
I would never eat a whale.
Yeah. And so it was just stupid. Which is I don't know, Andy Samberg, that seemed like his level of jokes, Hot Rod and the stuff they do. Yeah. No, great movie. If you have not watched it, I would definitely say.
Honestly, I would say, even if you don't have a kid, this one's worth watching.
It's if you're just a 90s kid, it's worth the watch.
Yeah, I guess you kind of have to have, I don't know, you sort of have to have that connection with Chip and Dale to begin with.
So yeah, that was great. Let's keep on the Disney Plus train, because I would say right now, Disney Plus kind of cornered the cool stuff that's out.
Well, they have so much good new content like that they're making.
Well, especially because it dropped right now,
and they own all this stuff.
They
so that's
own everything.
It's Disney.
Eventually, it'll just be all Disney Plus.
Disney,
Moon Knight,
give us a call.
Yeah, Moon Knight came out and just finished up.
Six episode season, so it wasn't real long.
It was quick.
It's quick.
Oscar Isaac. Yeah, dude, just like he's done Star Wars, now he's done Marvel. He's just gonna hit them all, man.
And honestly, Oscar Isaac killed this role.
No, he did really
because he's got to play. Moon Knight has DID. I don't know enough about that to say whether they did that well in the movies or in the show. I know they don't do it super well in the comics. They don't do any kind of stuff like that super well. But it was very enjoyable, and Oscar playing multiple personalities, he killed it.
He made each one like specific. Well, yes. I guess you only really get two personalities in the show.
Yeah.
But he has his British counterpart, and then his, I guess, American mercenary.
Yeah.
He did a really well job. He was very believable, and he sunk his teeth into it. Ethan Hawke actually was where I was really surprised, because
he was so good in this.
Because he does the type of villain that I always enjoy, where he's not trying to necessarily always be intimidating. He's trying to come across as friendly. Yeah. I'm here to help you.
Yes.
Listen, and I enjoy a villain who truly believes in their cause, and they think they're doing something good.
Yes.
I think that makes a perfect villain where, like, to them, they're doing what's right for the world.
I feel like that's why so many people liked Thanos.
Yeah.
In his stuff, because it's like, okay, this dude believes what he's doing.
Yeah. And they don't see it as, it's not like, I'm being bad to be bad. No. I'm taking over the world.
I'm a bad guy.
I need $1 million. It's like, no, I'm helping you guys. Yeah. And Ethan Hawke is, to him, he's helping people.
Yeah.
He's prejudging, very Minority Report. We're going to, listen, you might not ascend yet, but you're gonna. So let's go ahead and weigh your scales. Yeah, you got to die. Or, hey, you're good the rest of your life. Ding, 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 ding.
You win.
But he played that character so well. And I love that the show opened on him. Crushing the glass, putting in his shoes, and walking around the ground.
They never really went into that, and
just paying his penance.
I liked that though. They didn't like. There was some of that stuff they didn't really hold your hand on. They held your hand enough.
Yeah.
Because of course, I mean, it's Disney, it's MCU. They're going to hold your hand enough.
You paint the picture. Like I said, overall, I thought it was a good adventure show. The CGI was really well. The suits look cool.
Yeah.
My only qualm was that I think 6 episodes was just a hair too short. I think one more episode would have gave a little more room to breathe.
We usually with this kind of stuff are like, oh, it was just maybe an episode or two too long.
Yeah.
But this one did feel an episode or two too short.
I think showrunners sometimes have a hard time gauging on what they really need.
Maybe.
And like Game of Thrones, perfect example of we don't need our regular 10. Yeah, he did. But same with this, it's like, if they would have had one more, because like especially the news, we're not sure if they're going to continue this. If this was a one-off, Oscar Isaac has said he doesn't have a contract for anything to return yet. He definitely would, but there's nothing out there. And usually by now they would have announced a second season is coming.
Yeah, and I've read from very clickbaity article-based websites that there's supposed to be some Moon Knight tie-in things with the new Thor that's coming out, but that could be something as simple as a picture of Khonshu somewhere, who we didn't talk about. Fucking loved Khonshu in this.
I thought it was funny because the first episode you seem like you're on the fence on the voice.
The voice was whatever, but it definitely grew on me.
Yeah,
but he was such a fuck up.
Yeah.
And I loved that of him being an Egyptian god that is kind of really a fuck up. Just like the gods are like, don't do that again. And the fucking goes right out there and like changes the whole sky. Like, does it again.
Listen, it's about to go down. You're going to have to come find me.
Yeah. He's like, well, they're going to mess me up after this. But yeah, like he was just so shitty. It's so like bad at what he did.
He, like I said, enjoyable show, great villain.
Yeah.
I think it suffered on the last episode because it became world-ending, dribble.
Yeah.
I thought prior to that of like, honestly, I would have just rather seen like it be based around him trying to get out of whatever the Egyptian like afterlife of the book, like all that stuff was just really cool.
And I think if they had one or two more episodes, it would have been really nice to get one where he got to really be Moon Knight a lot.
Yeah.
Because we didn't get much of that, and of course it's a TV show budget.
I think that's really. But see, like Mr. Suit, you could have done because that one.
Oh yeah,
there's
Mr. Knight.
Mr. Knight. Sorry, the other one definitely was a lot more CG heavy because of the giant cape. But I agree. I think.
Well, and now they've come with Jake Lockley, and in Moon Knight stuff, they have a few different suits, but it's like, the fuck does Jake Lockley get as a suit now? I want to see that.
Well, that was one of my big qualms is they wrap up the villain in a post-credit scene. They revealing the third personality.
Yes.
And you're just like, I mean, that was I guess that was cool, but that was also like just so like sporadic period. That boom, that's how it ends.
I mean, and this is as a super MCU fan, we know that this is one of their like negative aspects of MCU. They love to kill off a villain.
Yeah,
and like get good villains. Like they I mean, we know they might not be able to get Ethan Hawke. For another season or another thing. They might not even be doing another one. But let's leave it on the table, guys.
I much rather would have had. Is he coming back instead of them doing a finite like shooting?
Which it was a cool scene because it was like
I didn't I didn't like it.
I like the idea of the one that Khonshu was actually working with. Was Jake Lockley the whole time. He's playing these other two guys against each other and just playing them. Jake Lockley's the one that's on board. Yeah. So I did enjoy that. I didn't enjoy the let's just
that's
kill
fine.
This guy.
It's just doing that in a post-credit scene.
No, see, I was okay with that. Just the killing off the villain was like that's lame.
Well, if it was supposed to be a cliffhanger for season 2, I'm fine with that. But if this is fine,
well, and it could be. We don't know yet, so
we don't know.
We'll see.
Moon Knight. It was good. It wasn't great. It was good.
Latino News hasn't said anything about it.
We're waiting. We don't know. All right. So 2 other things that dropped this week. Let's start with what is a little bit more bite size. Obi-Wan.
They dropped 2 episodes of this.
2 episodes dropped.
How many episodes is this? Is this going to be an 8 or a 10? I don't know. Why don't I know that?
I think it's 7.
Is it 7?
But that is a 100% guess.
I'm going to look it up on the internets while you're talking some more about it.
So I'll go ahead with everyone I think knows Star Wars. I'm a take it or leave it guy.
Star Wars is hot right now.
It's hot. It's very hot. There's a lot of Star Wars news that we're going to be doing. But, Obi-Wan, prior to this coming out, I did not care about his character.
Really?
Because I don't like prequel. I don't like the prequels. I know he's probably one of the best things that came out of the prequels.
Yeah, but Ewan McGregor, man, you're not a Ewan McGregor guy.
I don't. I guess
dislike he doesn't have.
I like Dr. Sleep.
Yeah,
he was good in that. But with that being said, as far as the story, I was like, all right, cool. I don't care. Yeah. Like Book of Boba Fett was a very big letdown for me. So I was like,
Book of Boba Fett. I'm going to hit on this for a minute because me and TJ liked Book of Boba Fett a lot, but we've watched everything. We've watched Clone Wars, the show. We've watched.
You guys are
Rebels.
Fanboys.
We're fanboys, and again, they've been throwing so much fan service into this stuff, but the overarching story of Boba Fett was kind of weak.
It was
the fun stuff they threw in, and Cad Bane and stuff like that was cool, really cool. The Boba Fett stuff barely showed up sometimes in the show and didn't really do anything for the character. Yeah. Anyway, the Obi-Wan stuff.
So yeah, I was indifferent to say the least, but I was like, hey, you know what? I'll give it a try. And I watched the first 2 episodes. And I, for the most part, generally actually really enjoy it. People are definitely saying like a very dark Star Wars story. And while I don't necessarily, I know the director was comparing it to The Joker, the movie that came out in DC, because he's calling it more of a character study. Of Obi-Wan. Definitely, I mean, obviously not as dark as that, but like that's I think what they were going in when they were making this is like we're gonna really dive into Obi-Wan and like because like think about the first episode. It's literally just him living in seclusion. He's living a very depressed life. He's given up. He's defeated.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah.
And so like they're really trying to break that character in. And I was there I was like, this is actually kind of cool. I like this idea of like, oh, Obi-Wan just works at a meat packing plant.
Yeah.
He is indifferent. He doesn't care. No. He's not helping.
Watching after Luke. That's all he's doing.
He shows up. He peeps like a peeping Tom on Luke. It's kind of weird.
Buying him toys and sending them. And
Uncle's like, hey, man.
Cut this shit out.
Get out. We don't need your toys.
Yeah.
We need your toys. You've seen what happened to his dad.
Yeah.
Darth Vader. Or what? Actually, that he doesn't know that Darth Vader is a thing. Anyway, so he's just kind of chilling. Yeah. And a Jedi finds him and he's like, hey man, we lost. Get over it. Go hide. And he's being hunted by the Inquisitors. The main Inquisitor, very cool. I don't know the background. Grand Inquisitor. Cool characters, except for to do with the really stupid... I didn't know they had the rights to Nintendo to have Toad. Toad is in this, and he's like very like...
From the movie or from the game?
He's from Mario. He's in the movie. He's in the show, but he's in all black. He's got a big hat.
Yeah.
I guess he's an Inquisitor, but like he keeps talking about gold coins. No, but like that hat is so fucking stupid. I get what they're going for. It's not working. But the Inquisitors are cool.
Yeah.
They're just they don't give a shit. They're gonna get their answers. Cutting dudes' hands off.
Yeah.
Very cool stuff.
So a little bit of I think you get this from the show. The Inquisitors some of them used to be Jedi. They are not Sith. They aren't anything. They are Force people who work for the Sith, because the Sith at this point are Darth Vader and the Emperor. And so they literally are just cleaning up the scraps. You had Order 66 that killed off most of the Jedi. These are the dudes that Darth Vader turned to the dark side, and they are just going out and slaughtering any other Jedis they can come across. Vader and them. Those are the ones they're just hunting those fuckers down.
Yeah. And you got a hot rookie Inquisitor who's just trying to prove herself. What is she, a sister?
So instead of names, they go by fifth brother, third sister, stuff like that. And it's just one of those things, like kind of the militaristic, like you're not anything anymore, you're this. I have read stuff with her before. There's comic book stuff and all that. But honestly, the whole like naming thing of third brother, second sister, that it confuses me. So I don't really remember a whole lot about her. I did definitely know that she is one of the ones that is obsessed with Obi-Wan.
Is there background in some of the animated shows of these two?
Yeah, so you get a little bit of the Inquisitor stuff.
She's obsessed with Obi-Wan.
Yes, and there's definitely a lot of like comic stuff and novel stuff. Some of the novel stuff I haven't read. Some of the comic stuff I have read. And Obi-Wan, of course, because that's Anakin's mentor.
Yeah.
That's the Jedi he's going to be obsessed with. So that's the one that, even into A New Hope and everything, he's like, I'm going to show you, Dad, I'm better than you, So yeah, that's definitely the one that he's obsessed with. And all of these Inquisitors think that they're going to impress Vader,
raise their statue, if they can capture.
Spoiler, they never are. So it's Vader. He fucking doesn't share that shit.
Yeah.
So so
if Vader kills them,
they're badass. It's another one of those things. They show how badass they are, so that when Vader fucks them up, it's like, oh, Vader's that much more crazy.
Raising the stakes.
One of the things I really like about this, getting into a little bit more into the episode 2 is. And I mean, it's been 10 years. Obi-Wan is shit.
Yeah.
He is not. He can't fight. He can't do anything because he hasn't. Because Allison was watching this with me, of course, and she's like, "Why doesn't he just use the Force?" And I'm like, and people might not know this or catch on to this if you're not a super Star Wars guy or whatnot. But in a lot of the stuff, if a Jedi uses the Jedi powers, other people can sense that. So he hasn't used his Jedi powers in over 10 years.
So it's true if you don't use it,
you lose it. Yeah. So he's they're acting like this is the big bad. This is the dude. This is Obi-Wan Kenobi, but he hadn't been hadn't been practicing that shit anymore. So he's kind of.
I mean, he's
outweighed in this.
He's been stealing from work every day.
Yeah,
taking the morsel of meat. I mean, like, dude's kind of a thief
for his anteater camel.
Yeah. So what are your thoughts on Princess Leia?
I think that was. I haven't.
Because to remind people, Rey claims to not like anything with snot-nosed kids.
Oh, true. And she's great in it. I love her. But I mean, it's Princess Leia. So I did not know that Leia was going to be a part of that. And I don't know if that's one of the like things they kept under wraps that because I thought this was going to be, because they showed in the trailer, like he's watching Luke and stuff like that. I thought this was going to be all about that. I didn't realize they were going to bring Leia into it. I think, again, we talk about continuity about the other stuff. I think this brings some continuity issues into it because they're having this huge adventure. And in A New Hope, it seemed like she had never met Obi-Wan. You helped my father in the Clone Wars. And
I think that they're keeping it broadly. You helped my father. Find me.
Yeah. But I've loved... The girl that's playing Leia is killing it. She's so good.
I don't think she's that good.
Oh, do you not? I love it.
I don't think she's a very good actress.
She's 10, dude.
There's plenty of examples of good actors at the age of 10.
Okay.
She's not. She's okay. Like the wood scene, like there's a lot of like when they're trying to capture her, that's really bad.
So yeah, that chase scene was like
her delivery of lines are sometimes a little weak. Although I will say, I didn't realize we'd get so much Californication. We got Flea showing up as a bad guy from Red Hot Chili Peppers.
Oh yeah.
I was pretty happy to see him showing up.
But yeah, I was like, how inept of a bounty hunter can you be to not be able to catch this 10-year-old girl?
Well, Obi-Wan later, when they're in the city...
Can't catch her either.
Yeah, I was like, you guys, this is bad. Like, this is bad level. Like, overall, I'm enjoying the show, but, like, parts like that, I'm like, this is kind of shitty directing. Like, it's bad directing, bad editing, one or the other. Someone, they could have cut it and made her look quicker.
Yes,
or a little more slippery.
This is reminding me that part of it. Just the chases reminds me of the Vespa chase scene in Boba Fett that was like so slow.
Oh, I never got to. I heard about it.
That was really bad.
Yeah, and because it was Star Wars, I'm okay with the cheese. I'm okay with bad costumes, but
see, I love that because some of the stuff just looks like puppety and stuff, and it's
I'm
like
fine with that.
That's the world they're in.
If you're simple stuff like trying to grab someone, if it looks like you're like not really, your heart's not in it, and these like very dramatic times, come on, man, like you're guys
a grown ass man, like as a 10-year-old kid, they're not running that much faster than you, and just because they go under a limb, you can duck, man. Like it ain't against the rules.
I'm gonna tell you guys, I have a 10-year-old. They're not that hard to catch. and I am not. Those guys,
Marshall, come in here. We're gonna chase you.
Those guys are in way better shape than I am. So, but with that being said, I like to set up at the very end. We get
kid chase scenes are the worst.
Now
we're just gonna.
One thing I read, apparently, they did heavy rewrites because I can already see the similarities of it. Is that this show was way too similar to The Mandalorian because essentially you got a giant babysitter.
Yeah,
so, and there wasn't as much. They didn't have enough Darth Vader in it.
Oh, okay.
So apparently that, like, because I don't know if you remember, because this is a while ago, they went through major rewrites and stuff got paused, and of course they're like, are they going to cancel the show? Is it going to come through? So I'm kind of curious because right now, while it's good, it does feel very similar to Mandalorian. It's a babysitter, adventure.
Yeah.
You got bad guys chasing him. He has someone that everybody needs.
Yeah.
So I'm curious to where the story's going to go. Is what I'm looking forward to.
Because I did think it was an interesting sort of twist that, like, oh, he's saving Leia.
I mean, I was like, okay, that's in canon. I was like, that's interesting, but in a story of a show, that's kind of boring.
Yeah,
I was like, okay. I mean, obviously, they got to have a way to bring him back in, and I think that's the easiest way they can, because obviously they want to bring, Luke or Leia into it.
Yeah.
And
I half assumed that like this isn't the whole show. Him and Leia isn't the whole show. I think he's done with that. I hope. That's what I'm hoping.
I'm going to go ahead and guess Leia is in this entire thing. you don't have Leia.
That's true.
Baby Leia toys are about to be dropping. She's back into the universe because now they can go and have like Leia miniseries and all that stuff. Leia's going to be in this show the whole way through. And I think they're also going to make her Force sensitive, and I think you're going to see her use the Force at some point.
Well, she was in the sequels.
Yeah.
And I mean, she always sort of has been. She just
when she ghost floated, that fucking terror. Yeah.
But yeah, she always kind of has been in the.
But in the originals, she there was no Force.
No. But like later on, anything after the movies that was done in the extended universe, she always had a little bit, and she just didn't care about it.
That don't count.
Yeah, man, it's
don't count.
Legends.
I don't count as legends. It's legends. That's bullshit. So yeah, Obi-Wan. I'm looking forward to. Next episodes, I will. I
think they have to go back to Tatooine because I think there was some.
Well, number one, they're getting on a freighter. We don't know where that's headed.
Well, they said where it's heading. I don't remember what it is.
And it wasn't no Tatooine.
It wasn't. But I feel like at some point he has to punch that guy in the face at his meatpacking place because they're going to find out he's stealing from.
That's going to be the last episode.
Yeah, that's the real climax.
For a giant universe, they fucking got like 5 planets that they're just like, we're going here because you got to be.
Tatooine's the one, man. They are always going back to Tatooine.
As a fan, you can be like, I know Tatooine. So we will continue watching. We'll continue talking about it. But that's my prediction. Leia will be in it the entire time.
Okay.
She will be the one that defeats Darth Vader when they come head to head, because obviously Obi-Wan can't. He lost when he finally came up with the. And also, if you think about the timelines of from here, because when he sees Luke is how much in the original series? Like 18.
Oh, I don't know. Somewhere around that 18, 19, 20.
Fucking, he aged terribly.
Obi-Wan?
If you think about how he looks right now to the movie.
This was something that Allison brought up there. She's like, they're really emphasizing his wrinkles in this. And I think that's one of the things because they're trying to make sure that
emphasizing. I think that's just how Ian McGregor looks.
Maybe. But I think... They
should have graded him up a little bit, just some streaks.
Yeah,
because he only has 8 years to go fully gray.
And
you know what's gonna happen?
Man.
Something really scary is gonna happen. Like Darth Vader's gonna grab Leia and hold her over like a chasm, and he's gonna be no, and go gray.
I wonder. And this is one of those kind of weird, shitty things in the prequels when the Emperor is fighting Mace Windu. Mace Windu does that thing where he deflects the lightning. And it ages the Emperor.
Yeah.
It makes him old. I wonder if we're going to get some shitty thing like that with Darth Vader and Obi-Wan.
Obi-Wan's going to deflect something and he's going to go gray. And boom, they got to solve, man. They are either going to unravel the timeline, or maybe this is multiverse Obi-Wan and
the multiverse of Star Wars.
Yeah, portal's going to open up and he's like...
Doctor Strange's going to come save them all.
Yeah. All right.
Spider-Man's going to kick Darth Vader in the face.
Enough about Disney. Another show that is out, and there's a lot of it, is Stranger Things.
Yeah.
Now, I'm going to go ahead and just tell you guys, if you have not watched the new season of Stranger Things, you're missing out. They went hard this season.
Yeah. I've watched the, I think we were going to talk about, I've watched the first 3 episodes.
Yes.
And, man, they hit the ground running with this one.
I only actually have 1 episode left because I just was hooked. I just couldn't stop watching, because the prior season, season 3, I thought was kind of a sleeper. I didn't really necessarily love it.
Yeah, there were with the mind flayer and all
mind that. Mind flayer. There was some okay. So there was some really cool, gross out moments, like all the rat guts and stuff. There was some stuff like that. But overall, I thought it was a very mediocre season. Yeah. Fuck if they did not go back to the drawing board and all right, this is how we're going to make this amazing. Because every episode is built on top of itself and it's only gotten better.
I'll say the first 2 episodes, the main big bad, what are they calling him? Sinatra or something? I don't know. Something like that. Sinatra.
Sinatra.
I wasn't sold on him the first 2 episodes. And I was like, this is kind of lame. But by the 3rd episode, I was like really into this. Because by the 3rd episode, Max has found out that she's one of his like victims or targets or whatever, and Vecna, that's what it is.
Yeah, so Vecna,
the new dude that's the DM for the Hellfire Club.
Hellfire Club.
I like this dude.
He's great.
I hope, like I said, I'm only 3, and then you're further in than me. I hope he doesn't die because I really think he's a good addition to this.
I've enjoyed him. I like how every season they bring usually this one new character
one or two,
in. But like, so you don't overwhelm you. But like,
because they had Scoops Ahoy girl. What's her name? Heather. What? I don't remember her name. But
don't ask questions. Don't know the answer.
We should have already looked all this up. But I really liked her last season.
That they had good chemistry with her and Steve. The villain who is a actual D&D character, which are most of these come from.
The Mind Flayer and the
Vecna
Gordon.
He's a wizard lich essentially that is killing people. I
hadn't looked him up yet because I was interested because I knew it had to be a D&D thing.
Yeah, he's killing people, like, so he literally he starts kind of haunting you, very a la Freddy Krueger almost. Okay. And then eventually he raises you up off the ground. He breaks all your limbs and sucks your eyes out. Yeah, it's very graphic on the.
It really is.
Because that's what I was like. They have amped up the horror and the violence.
Yeah. That first scene, they had to put a disclaimer because of the recent things in Texas and all, but it was rough.
Yeah, because 11 is dealing with. Did she kill all these kids that she was like being trained with? A bunch of craziness going on there.
The stuff with 11, only 3 episodes in, but also like the episodes are long. They're over an hour long each episode.
That's why actually what I'm enjoying is like they're giving you full hour 40 sometimes. Like
the stuff with 11. Because again, see, episode 3 is when what's his name shows up and they're being Biffy Giffy at the roller skating rink. And she's like lying to him about how great things have been in California. She's just having a rough time. Yeah. Incorporating it because I mean, like she's been for most of her life up until recently, she's been in a facility and she finally got out and now she's growing up in the stuff and she's just like awkward. Yeah, and of course like the kids are being shitty to her.
And she doesn't have powers.
She doesn't have powers anymore, and she just doesn't know how to deal with it. And it's pretty sad.
No, they have really found a way to balance out the story where all the characters are getting equal screen time. But it all is cohesive. Yes, because Winona Ryder and like I can't remember but like the Murray guy. Yeah, like they're trying to find Hopper. Yeah, Hopper is obviously alive still,
which was we knew from the end of season 3.
He's in Russia.
Thank goodness, because I mean Hopper
and
great.
Just the way it's laying out, like it's. I don't want to give too much spoilers because like as you're watching through with it, but I'm really just enjoying like just the way that the big bad is kind of setting himself up. As the Mind Flayer is essentially the biggest bad. The Demogorgon was like a foot soldier, and Vecna is essentially the 5-star general who is like getting ready for it because essentially the Upside Down is getting ready to invade our world.
Which has been like what they've been working towards the whole entire thing. So I haven't been loving Lucas's storyline being the basketball player.
Oh no, it pays off because
I assumed it would because I haven't loved it, but
I was disappointed to see him not being able to interact with his friends. Yes, but his fanatic sports fan or not sports players, they turn and they go into like they become more and more evil and bad. Gotcha. Because they're digging into the hysteria of D&D being like actual like devil worshiping, and there was sacrifices, and they're in league with Satan. And now that these murders are happening, and this guy was known for being the leader of the Hellfire Club, which was a D&D club. Yeah, it's all tied to Satan, and it's all cult based.
The whole 80s,
satanic panic. Satanic panic. So the only thing I can really knock the show for, it's not a knock, it's just these kids look fucking old.
Yeah, like, they really do. Like, they look very awkward.
They're supposed to be playing like high schoolers, and they're like I think they're supposed to be playing like freshmen, if I'm correct, maybe juniors.
Maybe.
And they're all look way older than that.
Yeah, that's one of the, I guess, disadvantages of doing child actors with something.
Well,
like
and
this.
taking such a long, they take such big hiatuses of like breaks in writing, because like the big puffy hair friend that's best friends with Dustin, he's in his 30s now.
Yeah,
most of these kids are either 18 to 20, so it's pretty funny. You got some Game of Thrones crossover. The Russian guard. He was the man of many faces from Game of Thrones.
Oh, okay. I did not catch that.
Yeah, he comes. He plays in more into the show. But I was because I kept trying to place him. I was like, who is this Russian guard? And that's talking with Hopper, and they're plotting. And I was like, it's fucking the dude from Game of Thrones.
I will say, and I have this kind of issue with a lot of things, but because it's been such a long time since I watched season 3. It has taken me about 3 episodes to get into like, oh yeah, this is who that was, and this is who that was. Because it didn't start out this way, but like Game of Thrones has 1,000 characters. Like this has slowly grown into like a bunch of different characters.
The recap helped a lot because
it did,
like Max and everything, but and then friggin' playing the hell out of running up that hill, running up that hill, running up that road. I'm loving. So this is only the first part.
Yeah,
so
there's going to be 2 more episodes at least.
7 episodes is what we're getting right now, and then in July we will get whatever the finals.
I think it's July 1st. They're dropping the last
July
2,
1st.
and I think they're supposed to be. Maybe even longer than these. I think they're supposed to be pretty.
I know the
hefty.
last episode of the season, which I had started, was almost 2 hours long.
Oh, the last episode that they've dropped now?
That's
oh, okay. I think the next 2 are supposed to be like an hour and a half to 2 hours at least.
I know it was an hour, like 40 minutes or something like that. So they which I'm not complaining because like we were kind of talking about with Moon Knight, where like they didn't have enough. This one, at least right now, they're killing it. Perfectly balanced, good story, good. They're building up the mystery of what's going on because there's multiple things. Like as 11 is like looking into her past, what's going on with the Upside Down. So there's multiple things getting balanced out. So Stranger Things season 4 right now is competing with season 1 because season 1, of course,
season 1 was great. Yeah, it
was the breakout. So I'm very much into season 4. Excited to see how because this is the wrap up. This is the end of Stranger Things.
This is it. This is what we get.
All right, so we're going to take another break, but when we come back, we're going to talk about the news.
The news.
All right, let's jump into the news. So there's a lot of Star Wars news because. Celebration. Yeah, we just had Celebration. Is that what they call it? Celebration? Yeah. Star Wars Celebration. Everyone dresses up like a fucking stormtrooper and a Jedi.
They have it Anaheim?
I think so. I think they move it every year. Because, of course, they didn't have it for a couple of years.
Yeah.
Was this one at Anaheim? I didn't pay attention to that. So. Okay.
Our buddy was there.
Our buddy? Okay.
Well, Allison's friend, acquaintance for me, is it Kyle?
Oh, Kyle Hookman. Yeah. And he lives out in California.
I'm pretty sure.
California.
I think he was there, though.
I'm sure. If it was in California, he was there.
So,
he loves some Star Wars.
Yeah, Star Wars fan.
I love some Star Wars.
You do.
You're lukewarm on Star Wars.
Lukewarm.
We got a lot of Star Wars to talk about.
Like Star Wars for me, like I said, we talked about it with Obi-Wan is. I don't hate Star Wars. No. It's I'm gonna give it or take it.
Star Wars when I was growing up, that was probably the main thing I watched. We had the VHSs that my dad had borrowed someone else's VHS, and we rented it and we recorded it.
Yeah.
And then my mom at one point recorded some of her soap operas over one of them, and I was pissed about it until I was like 22.
See, I still remember the first time a friend tried to show me Star Wars. We were probably 5th, 6th grade, and it was like staying a night and put it on, and just it didn't do it for you. I love the He-Man movie. I love fantasy, but just Star Wars just wasn't for me, man.
Hey, that's all right.
All right, so first on the list of Star Wars news is Andor, the Rogue One spinoff. And the article that I read said could change Star Wars TV forever. Teaser trailer came out.
Yeah,
pretty good trailer.
It looked pretty good because Andor honestly has been. I didn't love Rogue One. I know that's a controversial Star Wars thing. A lot of people loved it. I didn't.
A lot of people hated it when it came out, but as time has progressed, I think people have warmed up to it.
Yeah, and I haven't rewatched it. I thought the pacing was very off on that. I need to revisit it.
It's just one of those. I didn't love the characters.
Yeah,
I thought Forrest Whitaker. Like I remember, like. His scene was just so bad.
Yeah.
Where he's like, it's too late, just leave. It's like, dude, you could get on the plane. It's like
right there.
Yeah, it's like 15 feet.
You can do this.
And just I liked the idea, the ambition they were going for of like we're gonna kill off all the characters.
Yeah.
And I was like, okay, that's kind of cool.
Star Wars doesn't do that.
Yeah. That movie, I think, got a whole lot more love than it deserves just because of the Vader scene at the end.
Well, and the Vader scene at the end is...
It's very cool.
Incredible.
It's very cool.
Yeah.
Hands down, I will not disagree with that.
And I think it is an interesting thing.
And you got the Shore Troopers, which are some
of
the coolest designs.
People love the Shore Troopers. But I think it was...
Wearing khakis.
Yeah, exactly. You just wear khakis to work, man. I think it was one of those interesting things in something like this that has so much continuity. That's the word of the day. Where you're going to end it at the beginning of the oldest Star Wars there is of A New Hope. Like it ends, New Hope starts. And I think that's interesting. And with Andor, we're going to get that again. They're going to keep that up. Andor is going to end at the beginning of Rogue One. And... they've also mentioned, like, this is not a thing that people normally do, Disney does or whatever, but this is 2 seasons. That's it.
They're going in, with a start and finish. They know where they want to end it. And hey, hats off to them for that.
That's a great... I mean, Japanese shows and British shows do that all the time. American shows?
Not so much.
They're going to squeeze it for as much as they can.
They really do. So I'm curious for that. Like I said, I don't care for Rogue One. I didn't care for any of the characters. I wonder if we'll get some more really terrible dead people that are animated to watch like they did.
I doubt we will for the TV show.
I don't know.
We got Luke.
I was about to say.
And the Luke stuff wasn't horrible. He's not dead. But... No. But we got young Luke. The Luke stuff wasn't horrible. I think I read... And this might be Shinfo, and it might not even be true because we're just going off the cuff here. But I think I read that the voice for Luke in Boba Fett was not Luke.
It wasn't.
It was all stuff that they used AI. Yeah, the deepfake stuff, which is interesting.
Corridor Crew, I can't suggest that YouTube channel enough. They do digital breakdowns of stuff, and they're very on top of like current stuff a lot of times when it comes out, and they did a breakdown of the Luke stuff.
This is the YouTube channel that does all the CGI stuff.
VFX. So but they did one on they did the original Luke on Mandalorian because that one was very wanky or wonky. It wasn't terrible, but like it was
a very short.
They made their own that looked even better. They're like,
wow.
Yeah, they're like, they could have done this. Anyway,
I need to subscribe to that channel because I've watched a lot of the episodes and they're great. If you haven't watched those, subscribe to that. Go look at some of their videos.
If you like VFX,
or movies, just movies.
Yeah, but they just do such a great dive onto good and bad. But they talked about this one, and they also like show you the tricks because if you watch on Boba Fett, like Luke a lot of times is shot in like darker stuff and the background. But anyway,
one of my favorites was when they broke down the fight scene of Black Panther and why it was bad at the end.
Yes,
and that was a very good episode.
And they don't do it maliciously.
No. Because they also did a why Thanos looked so good.
Yeah,
and that
even when something's bad, like Black Panther, that infight scene looks fucking dog shit. But they will always stick up for the VFX guys because they understand that there's timelines, there's these things that they have to meet, and sometimes they just run out of time.
Yeah, and then they just go into like this is what they could have done to do it better. This is what they did wrong,
and this is probably why it came out that way.
Which is one of those things. Like it's easy to be a what do they call a Sunday.
But these guys actually do VFX.
No, absolutely.
And I will say the later seasons now they're having like the head of the studios come in and sit on the couch.
That's cool. Cool.
I mean they have over 1 million subscribers. I mean they're probably one of the bigger YouTube channels now. So they had Adam, I think it's Adam Driver, not Adam Driver. That's
Kylo.
Mythbusters.
Okay, that Adam.
He came on and because he worked on a lot of Star Wars.
I did not know.
Yeah, he was a miniature builder. built a lot of the stuff, and he did some really cool stuff. But they've had a lot of the Marvel guys and Star Wars guys come sit on the couch. So great show. Cool. Shinfo on that. But if you're always looking for a good YouTube channel, they drop every Saturday, and they usually it's a good 30 minutes of content. So Skeleton Crew is coming out. This is starring old Jude Law.
Man, there's a lot of Jude Law stuff that I really enjoy. I like that guy.
I don't know if I like Jude Law. I don't know if I dislike him either. I'm kind of... none of his movies really. I know he's in Prometheus.
Yeah, Gattaca. I love Gattaca.
I never watched Gattaca.
No,
nah.
Oh, that's a good one.
But this sounds like a show that you're gonna hate because it's a coming of age tale set in a sci-fi universe.
I do love coming of age.
In addition to Waldo, it also stars kids.
Well, no.
And you hate snot-nosed kids.
I hate kids. Maybe I don't hate Star Wars kids though.
I think you're full of shit because you also like Stranger Things now. And
that's true.
I think you thought. I
like the kids the least in it. Though.
I think you thought you like. I think I think that was just like a rayism of like, maybe, I don't like snot. Maybe. But snot. Or sorry, not snot. It's going to star kids.
It's going to star snot-nosed kids.
And though we don't know who they will be just yet, it's led by director John Watts and writer Chris Ford, who previously collaborated on Spider-Man: Homecoming. And, of course...
Jon Favreau and Dave Filoni.
That will be part of it.
Yeah. I think anything they don't put them part of Star Wars-wise is going to be a mistake.
What's your guess that this is about as a Star Wars fan?
I honestly wonder... I don't know, what time... where's this going to fit in the timeline? Because the Star Wars timeline is very confusing at this point for people who aren't, really, really, really into it.
Yeah.
So I don't know if it's going to be after the prequels or not the prequels, after the sequels. Then I think they might go into some of the kid that was sweeping during was it Last Jedi or what? One of those.
Yeah, the Last Jedi.
And force sensitive, and then they never came back to him. I think that would be a good thing to do. It could be. At this point, Luke is setting up his academy, and you have all the stuff with before the Knights of Ren and all that. So it could be something with that.
Here's my guess.
Okay.
I think it's going to be a workplace dramedy, and it's a skeleton crew, so they work the night shift at a space station.
Okay.
And people come through, and they got to refill and get supplies.
Honestly, any of this Star Wars stuff that is completely separate from the main movies and all.
But Chewbacca will make a cameo. He comes by. He needs to get a pack of smokes.
Yeah.
And Jude Law it's a sweatshop, and he has a bunch of kids that are working in the back.
Gosh.
So that's my guess of what Skeleton Crew is, because obviously he wants to keep the crew light.
Yeah.
And he's
so no one knows he's got all these kids.
Like that.
Does he dresses them up as droids? And stuff?
Yeah. They got to wear shitty metal. Beep pop, boop pop. So that's my guess for Skeleton Crew. Mando season 3 coming out February 2023. The only thing I thought it was interesting about this was that that the last season of Mando was 2020.
No, you told me that, and I was like, no, you're wrong.
You doubted me.
I did. I absolutely doubted you. I looked that stuff up. Yeah, it was December. The last episode was December 2020. Yeah, it was late. But still, that feels like 1,000 years ago.
It really does. I think Boba filled a lot of that gap.
It did fill some of it because there's a bunch of Mando in that.
But when honestly, when I was reading about Mando, that was the biggest takeaway. I was like, God, it's been 2020. So it'll be 3 years since he came out when this.
I know at the end of season 2, they teased Book of Boba Fett, so that was 2.5 Mandalorian 2.5.
Yeah.
I wonder why though. I wonder if they were trying to give it extra time because they're doing something different with this. I don't know. Maybe they needed more time, or maybe they just wanted to stick something in between there.
Yeah. Yeah, that is a good question. 3 years is honestly though, I'm all for shows taking time away to develop a good story.
Absolutely. If that's what's going on here.
Because, the days of year after year after year, although as a fan you want that, I'd much rather have to suffer a year or two without it and then get something that's really good instead of them releasing a yearly one where you're like, this kind of sucks.
Yeah, I wonder if they if it was a bigger hit than they thought it was going to be.
Well, and I also think Pascal, I think he is a lot bigger of an actor now too, so there could be scheduling,
working in between stuff like that,
conflicts of like the movies and stuff. So there's always that could come into it. All right, so I thought this was interesting. I definitely want to get your opinion. So Lucasfilm president Kathleen Kennedy.
People hate her.
People
do
not
not like her. Star Wars people do not like her.
So she spoke with Empire about Star Wars Celebration event.
Return of the Empire.
There are plans in place to take audiences back to the world of Rey, Finn, Poe, and Kylo Ren. Okay. And this is a quote. And this is I'm going to do my best voice of Kathleen Kennedy. We're moving forward beyond the existing sequels as we look to our movie space. The sequel era and what we talk a lot about in terms of where we're going with our movies, or just how far out that we're going to go. That's very much the space we're concentrating here. That it's like a bunch of words that say nothing.
Yeah,
is what it is. But I'm surprised that they're going back to this well.
I'm not surprised because they do have. There was a lot of I feel like there was a lot of good character development that didn't get to pan out. Like I feel like Poe and Finn didn't get like a fair shake in the end. Now, and the last movie was definitely what we refer to in the podcasting industry as a shit show. I love Star Wars.
I couldn't finish it,
but again, I've talked about this before on the podcast. When I watched Phantom Menace, I sat there and by the end I was like, that was good. It was Star Wars. That was good, right?
You know,
it was good. I had the same fucking thing when I watched the end of these sequels. I was like, that was good, right? I mean, they didn't have to bring the Emperor back, but that was cool. Like, we got to see the ghost ship, and that was cool, right?
Yeah.
This was cool, right? Was it cool? I think it was cool.
You know what's so funny is, especially because you are like the optimist, like you always are looking on the bright side of these.
Only
because
Star Wars,
because
man.
Most Star Wars fans that are your age, like
hate
Brian Prozane, I think he's like, Star Wars was the prequels were my Vietnam. Or Patton Oswalt, where he goes on a tirade of like, hey, we're gonna make these movies and it's gonna be about Darth Vader. It's like, oh man, I love Darth Vader. He's like, yeah man, we're gonna focus on when he was a kid. What? You know, like just like this weird, he's like, if I could get a time machine, I wouldn't go back in time and kill Hitler. I would go back to the 90s and kill George Lucas before he could make the prequels, because they fucking hated him. People
love him now.
People, the kids that came out, those movies, love them. I see constant like praise on Reddit, and like if I'm on Facebook, if I'm reading comments, like people have went full ham, and now they literally talk about how great those movies are. And so I tried to I did I have not watched the prequels since they came out.
Wow. Okay.
When it came out, I watched them, and obviously I wasn't a Star Wars fan, but I was like, okay,
these aged great.
These are new movies. Let me, when I was a teenager, I watched them, and I remember I didn't like them then.
Yeah.
And so my son was interested, so we watched the first one, and the whole time I'm like,
the first one is very. I want to say the first one's rough.
It's terrible,
but the second one also very rough.
And
the third one has some good things, but it's still very rough.
I do remember semi-enjoying Revenge of the Sith.
It's probably the better one.
But yeah, so like I was watching Phantom Menace, and I'm watching it with my son, and the whole time I'm like, this movie still sucks. This is like terrible. People are... But I asked him, he's like, yeah, this was good. He enjoyed it.
Okay.
Like,
well, that's awesome.
And like he's 10.
Well, that's my thing. Like, I may hate some Star Wars stuff, but overall, I love Star Wars. And I love when someone can come into Star Wars and something that I think is shitty, they enjoy. I think that's the difference between me and a lot of other Star Wars fans.
Well, my bigger issue is that he made these movies for 10-year-olds.
Yeah.
I mean, like, honestly, like, Phantom Menace, Jar Jar, all this stuff, like, you watch it, and it's like, George Lucas 100% did not go in and revitalize these movies for the fans. There's some, like fan service, as we call it. Like, there's, and I'm not a huge fan, but I watched that, and I'm like, there's not a lot of fan service, like, for people that love.
I feel like the fan service in that was you got a lot more Jedi. You got Jedis doing cool Jedi things.
And then he also,
even though I didn't love it.
Here's what a Jedi is.
Yes.
I'm going to...
And the Clone Wars and all this stuff that had been talked about for 20 years.
It's just like all the political... Like, he's not good at political drama.
No.
He's not good at dialogue. And, like, looking at the behind the scenes, he's just not a good director.
No.
And he relied too much on CGI, which didn't... Like, I remember it didn't look good then.
No.
And it definitely doesn't look good now.
Well, and even going way back to the original series, like, people... I was young, I was a kid at the time, so I didn't think anything of the Ewoks, but people that were older...
people hated
the Ewoks. And, like, you can definitely look and see older looking back, being like, okay, this was done for money. He had learned how to merchandise all this stuff. And of course, like, kids are going to love
What
Ewoks.
are the kids going to want?
Yeah. So instead of doing Wookiees, they did Ewoks. But then in the prequels, went ahead and did the Wookiee thing that he was planning on doing for Return of the Jedi. So it's just one of those things that is like, that Star Wars was not for me. I appreciate, like, all the stuff in between it, like the Clone Wars TV show, the cartoon, has filled in the gaps, and it has made the story of those better for me. The movies themselves still aren't good, but the story behind it, like, you get a lot more behind it, and that has made it better for me.
Which I understand liking it, but I dislike that because it's someone else had to come and fix.
No, absolutely. It was absolutely... Dave Filoni had to come in and fix it. And now it is more interesting, and you can watch those and, like, connect them to the other stuff, but they're still not good movies. Is the thing. The overarching story is good. The actual presentation of the movies, those three movies, not good.
So, and that's why I'm kind of curious as I'm going back, like, to bring it back to this is like,
well,
I enjoyed Rey, Finn, and Poe.
Yeah,
and I really enjoyed Kylo Ren. I thought he was a very good villain. I
want to get more of the Knights of Ren and all of that stuff. Yeah. Like, I want more of that.
I guess my bigger is, like, because they're doing movies. Because to me, I think Finn and Poe, man, you could develop that so well in a show.
Absolutely, in a show. Yeah,
I think you could get some great stuff. I think Finn deserves it. I think Poe deserves it.
And even the Rey stuff afterwards. Now she's Rey Skywalker and all that kind of stuff. What did she do after?
Yeah,
that's a good story.
She wouldn't have had babies with Kylo Ren.
Well, Kylo's dead, isn't he?
If he's coming back, if they're going back to the well,
that means they're going to have to do stuff beforehand, or he's going to do an Emperor thing, and he cloned himself or whatever the hell happened there, and he's back.
He brought it. He actually. What if they bring possession into the Star Wars world, and his ghost possesses his Force ghost possesses someone else?
Oh gosh, that's what the Skeleton Crew is about.
Yeah,
it's all these kids. The Kylo Ren's possession.
Yeah. He's
that's a really dark turn.
That's how powerful he is. All right, enough about Star Wars. Let's move on.
We're done with that.
All right, moving on. So,
but kind of not, because we're still in Lucasfilms.
That's true. Actually, dang, I wonder.
You thought we were moving on. Lucas ain't never going to let go of you.
He's not. So, the trailer I didn't think we needed. The reboot, I definitely would. If you would have told me, hey, they're rebooting this, I'd have been like, why? Is Willow.
Do you like the original Willow?
I loved
Willow. Love Willow.
When I was growing up, Willow was one of my favorite movies. I remember I had toys of the Willow. Like,
Willow freaked the fuck out of me with those, like, in that dragon in the castle with those weird things and they're stepping in that shit.
The knight with the skeleton mask was like, one of my favorite.
Yeah, God, he was so cool.
And I this is one thing where I hand it to Lucas is he wanted to do Lord of the Rings, couldn't write. He's like, well, fuck it, I'll just make my own Lord of the Rings.
I didn't know that, but
yeah, so like he
did a great job.
He wanted to, if I remember correctly, he wanted to make Lord of the Rings. And he could not secure the rights. They didn't want to either give it to him or I think there was something in production. So he just wrote it.
I'll go out on a limb and say, he did a better job. No, I would never say that. I love Lord of the Rings. But
he wrote a ripoff about a hobbit who finds a ring, a baby, of great power, and there's a big entity that wants the power back, and so it's the exact same overarching idea, but Willow was cool. So
Willow was great.
It was a good stamp of the 90s, or actually was that a late 80s? It doesn't matter. But the teaser looks fucking great.
No, I like Willow, and when I remember hearing a long time back they're going to do a Willow reboot, and I'm like, okay, that's cool. I'm into it. It seems weird, but also like again, there was a pretty big world that we didn't really get to go into there because we got one movie. That's that's not nowadays. If that came out, we would have 14 movies. And
it's
all the tie-ins and all that stuff, which is what we're getting now.
Well, I guess to me, not necessarily like the why, but it's like, where's the audience? Because
no, absolutely,
I definitely never hear people talk about Willow.
Yeah, there's no hardcore Willow fans out there,
unless you're having
going to WillowCon.
Yeah, exactly. Like people will. You talk about Lord of the Rings, right? And every once in a while, someone will be like, "You remember Willow? Oh yeah, that was a great movie."
I don't think I've ever heard anyone be like, "Oh, I hated Willow."
True, I agree. But
it's no one's favorite, though.
It came out, people, I think it did well, but it didn't do amazing. It didn't go back to it. And here it is, 30-odd years.
It was back in the day when they didn't do a trilogy of everything. They didn't do a sequel of everything.
Well, I mean, they did.
Sometimes.
No, I would say Lethal Weapons, Terminator.
They
definitely love doing sequels. If a movie was good, I think probably production cost versus like what it did.
Yeah, this was 88. Willow came out in 88. Yeah. So it's...
So, but like I said, I was like, okay, they're rebooting it. Is it a movie? They're doing a show. All right, I'm interested. And then, like I said, seeing the preview and like, number one, just the quality.
Quality looks great.
Like they got Warwick Davis back.
Of course,
which you got to have to.
It's Willow.
And then
he is Willow.
He's not in the previews, but it has been confirmed. Val Kilmer is coming back as well.
Yeah,
because like to me, like he's as important of a character.
No, yeah.
Although I mean, like God, like Val's had a very hard last couple years. I think he's dealt with throat cancer and stuff like that. So my hope is he is fully able to go and commit to that role because I loved him in Willow.
Yeah, I would say honestly, that's to me. Tombstone, I think, is his swan song, but I think Willow is like maybe my second favorite thing that Val Kilmer ever did.
No, he's definitely. I mean, his portrayal, Tombstone, it doesn't get any better.
No, yeah.
Movie-wise, he is hands down the best movie he was ever part of. Willow is like that cult classic where, well, I mean, he was also in like, I think, Weird Science and a couple other things.
Yeah, he's in a lot of stuff.
But like, Willow is that good nerd fantasy adventure, and like, he played a cool character
because he was Aragorn.
Yeah, exactly. That's exactly what it was. He was a swordsmith. So I'm very excited for this. I'm looking forward because the teaser came out. I did not see when it's actually going to be fully released. Hopefully in the next year. We'll see.
It's 2022, so it should be sometime this year.
Ooh, doggies! All right,
it's November 30th, 2022.
I
got you, man. I got you.
Right in time for it'll be a good Christmas.
Yeah. They'll be putting out those Willow play sets and
get my plate set.
Hey,
who needs that? All right, so here was some interesting news. I can't say I'm necessarily excited for this, but Winnie the Pooh went into
Piglet
2 went into public domain,
which is super surprising.
Yes,
with how Disney has controlled public domain.
They've done really well.
80 years or something,
but apparently I don't know the legality of it, but Winnie the Pooh is 100% public domain, so they're making a horror movie. Winnie the Pooh and Piglet.
It seems like the natural progression you should be going into.
It's called Winnie the Pooh and Blood Honey.
I don't think I knew that. I mean, I'm sure it was on the thing that we read, but
I guess makeup, the designs look terrible.
Oh yes,
it is going to be a terrible movie. Maybe it's going to be so bad it's good to watch. I will always say that's possible, but just the fact that it is a fully Winnie the Pooh, and I wonder if that also puts the music.
It's called Blood and Honey.
Oh, sorry, Blood and Honey. I left the.
Oh God, that makes it even worse. Maybe
because Blood Honey.
Yeah,
actually,
I thought you said Blood Hunting. I was like,
no.
Blood Honey, Blood and Honey.
Because see, blood and honey is like, okay, blood honey sounds like blood money, and it makes it a little bit more sinister.
Here's the synopsis on IMDb. It follows Pooh and Piglet as they go on a rampage after Christopher Nolan abandons them.
Christopher Nolan, the director.
Christopher Robin.
It's okay.
It took a weird twist there with Christopher Nolan.
Is he part of this?
Yeah.
So
directed by Christopher Nolan.
So yeah, shit movie, but interesting enough to go with it. All right, so She-Hulk, everybody's favorite female Hulk, had a teaser drop, and then it got torn apart because the CGI looked kind of wonky. So they dropped another with updated CGI.
There were so many She-Hulk Shrek memes out there. So many.
That's really offensive to Shrek, guys, because Shrek holds up. So She-Hulk.
She-Shrek.
I know nothing about She-Hulk except for I remember the Marvel swimsuit editions, and She-Hulk always had a cover.
My favorite. Listen, we're gonna take a tangent here for a second. My favorite about these Marvel swimsuit editions was the Punisher one, where he was wearing the long bikini that had his skull on his crotch, but it was like so long. It was just so long. And the one where Logan Wolverine is cooking hot dogs and like taking them off the grill. The good old 90s, guys.
That was the height of comic book.
That was. It will never get better than that.
When you have swimsuit editions of your comic characters.
It's honestly very surprising to me that they were so progressive to have dudes and girls in that.
Hey man, I want my beefcake with my with my pie. So yeah, She-Hulk came out. I watched the trailer. Here's the thing, I'll watch it. It comes out on Disney Plus.
It's an MCU thing.
It doesn't look that interesting to me. It looks a little like rom-com, almost like NBC like sitcom.
So here is the thing with She-Hulk. Originally, She-Hulk comics were the original Deadpool. She was the first. I don't know if she was the first. She was like a really big third wall breaker in her comics and everything. So I could see it having like, it's definitely a precursor to all the Deadpool stuff. So it's not super Deadpool-y. But I could see him doing some of that kind of stuff.
Gotcha.
I could see him doing some like Saved by the Bell, like Time Out, that kind of stuff. And her talking to the camera and stuff like that.
It's a comedy, which I'm all for. Because Marvel, one thing they're, like most are, I would say you gotta, like, Marvel movies are comedies. Like, they're comedy adventures. But if they went full ham on a comedy show, because I will say most of their TV shows have been pretty heavy serious,
they always have their MCU comedy. That's like their comedy's always there. It's always going to be a little more action packed.
But yeah,
because I felt like the most comedic ones were probably Loki and Hawkeye.
Well, Hawkeye definitely, they both start, even WandaVision, like the first episode, funny.
First 2 or 3,
like funny, and then the weight gets put on. I would like them just to go full ham and it's comedy the whole way.
Yeah, I would be into
Although
that.
You got Tim Roth, he's returning.
He's returning
as the Annihilator. Is that what it is?
Gosh,
I'm pretty sure it's the Annihilator.
It's not. It's Abomination.
No, it's the Annihilator. No, it is Abomination. But I think Annihilator is a cooler name.
And Jamil from, I don't know if I'm pronouncing her name correctly, from what was that? Kristen Bell.
The Good Place?
The Good Place. She's going to be one of the, she's Tidiane.
I thought she was playing She-Hulk. So that's when I first heard she was cast. I was disappointed to see she wasn't playing She-Hulk.
Gotcha.
Because I thought she would have made a great She-Hulk.
And apparently Mark Ruffalo is in all 9 episodes of this.
Wow.
So, and Wong is going to show up, of course. I mean, this is the MCU. They're going to... And he's the Sorcerer Supreme right now, so...
honestly, out of all that, I was happy to see that I got Tim Roth back because I think he's
absolutely.
fantastic.
Yeah, and he was in
which I guess
Shang-Chi. I forgot about Shang-Chi. That was a 4, phase 4. He was in Shang-Chi.
Which I guess this fully brings in the original Edward Norton Hulk. I mean, I know they've always said it was part of it, but this is like concreting that.
Well, Tim Roth was in Shang-Chi, so he's already been in like the MCU and all that. So this is just probably. Abomination is one of like Hulk's big bads.
Yeah.
From all of his comics and stuff. So, and he's also going to be in 9 episodes of this. So he's probably going to be. If he's not the big bad, they're going to like team up, and he's going to be a good guy.
I don't see how he's not the bad, like, because he plays such a good asshole.
Yeah. Absolutely.
Yeah. The CGI stuff I didn't really care about. The only thing.
Oh, the CGI, like y'all know I'm an MCU stan. Like.
You're going to defend it no matter what.
No, the CGI was bad. But in watching it, I'm like, they're never going to release this like that.
Here's what I heard on... so a lot of people, the complaint was like, you could have literally just painted her Gamora style.
Absolutely.
And apparently, when this came through, like people that did actual effects, they made her bigger. And they kept getting notes back to make her smaller and smaller. Yeah. So I think that might have been a thing because like they actually wanted to Hulk her up a little bit, but I think they want to keep her, sexy.
Most of the time in She-Hulk, continuity. That's our word of the day again. And most of the time in She-Hulk, like she's not big.
She's thick.
Yeah. Recently, she's quote unquote hulked out and gotten bigger and stuff. But most of the time, she's smart and just kind of lean.
Yeah. All right. So moving on from that. So this one, I was actually so Ray being our expert Marvel person. What's your favorite issue of El Muerto?
Okay, so let me go into this. We're going to start off with the origin story. No, I am a huge Marvel fan. I am a huge Spider-Man. I don't know who this dude is.
All right, so I don't know any of these people, which is showing my age.
This is worse than Morbius. This is worse when they talked about doing an Aunt May movie. This is worse than the Spot getting a movie.
But this is Marvel. Too. So this isn't Sony.
This is Sony.
Yeah.
This is Sony. This is Spider-Man verse.
Are you sure?
I'm pretty sure.
I think this is Marvel.
No.
I read an article. This is Marvel doing it.
I don't think that's true.
Research it while
I'm going to look it up while you're talking.
So there is a famous, I believe, rapper. So he's a Latin rapper, so I do know that. His name's Bad Bunny. He's probably, I think in 2021, he was the most streamed artist. This guy is huge.
I don't know this guy. I'm old though. I'm not going to.
I've never heard his music, but also like
I don't listen to the hip hop.
He's also more for the Latino market.
That's true.
But I have through work, a friend of mine went to a concert, and I remember she tagged it Bad Bunny. I was like, because it was sold out, massive arena, and I was like, who the fuck is Bad Bunny?
No, it's Sony's El Muerto. Okay. Muerto. That's probably how you pronounce it. El Muerto. You gotta put that behind it.
So he's a very, very popular person right now. So they have him playing. He's a wrestler, superhero. The Muerto. What was
the Muerto?
What does that translate to? I know.
Oh yeah. So with my all of my Spanish years up into Spanish 2 in 5th grade, I know that this translates into. Don't fail me, Google.
The Muerto?
Yes, the Muerto.
So, I didn't realize it was Sony doing this. This makes a lot more sense now.
Oh, yeah.
That is Sony. Because it's...
Dead. Deceased.
The deceased.
We should have done that.
So, yeah, he's going to play him. It's going to be a movie.
It will be a movie.
Yeah, it's a movie. It will be a movie with this gentleman playing him, and it's Sony level. I don't know if Morbius And this is going to be a side tangent. Apparently, Morbius might get a sequel just because so many people are hate watching it.
Yeah, and memeing it.
Yeah,
so hard.
It's gotten so much hate watch. So maybe we'll get another with this wrestling superhero. I know our friend Chuck will be there front and center for a wrestling superhero.
It's a wrestling superhero.
Yeah,
this is right on for him.
I mean, why not? So, yeah, I look forward to Ray defending it because it's Marvel. All right, so let's do some.
I loved Morbius. Kitty. I still haven't seen it. Nathan watched it though.
I actually didn't.
I know you
I just keep saying the Morbin time because that's fucking hilarious. This is a couple
Mighty
quick
Morbin.
stuff. So Jodie Foster of Taxi driver fame.
That's the last thing she did, though, of note.
She is going to be starring in HBO's True Detective Night Country.
Okay. So this is a new True Detective thing. It's not True Detective. It's a spinoff.
I think because it's been an anthology anyway. So I think they're just giving a name to it.
Maybe.
If it's True Detective, I imagine it's going to be very Southern Gothic feel to it.
So honestly, season 1 of True Detective was like incredible.
Some of the best TV you can watch.
2 and 3 didn't watch. Did they have a 4? Wouldn't know.
Yeah, 2 was okay. I didn't watch 3.
Yeah.
So I kind of fell off, but I like Jodie Foster enough that I'll watch the preview.
I've liked everyone that's been in these. It's like I like that actor. That's a good actor.
I'm not the biggest Vince Vaughn fan. I don't hate him, but I to me he's always a comedian.
Yeah, that's true.
More than straight. So, hey, when the trailer drops,
I don't hate him though.
I'll check it out. Yeah. I think the issue with True Detective is you drop something like season 1 where you got Woody Harrelson and Matthew McConaughey literally redefining their carew, especially Matthew McConaughey.
Yeah, absolutely.
And just doing one of the best seasons of TV you can ask for. So you remember Jack Osbourne from the Osbournes? Ozzy Osbourne's son. I know you know who Ozzy Osbourne is.
Well, I know Ozzy Osbourne. Who's this guy?
So Jack Osbourne, his son.
Was this the 80s? They had a TV show on MTV or something?
2000s, my friend. Because anyway, so him and Jason Mewes of fame of Jay and Silent Bob apparently have their own show on Discovery Plus where they go hunt Bigfoot.
Is this new, or they've been doing this for a while?
This is coming out soon. It comes out, I actually believe, either later this year or early next year.
What is this called?
Didn't have a name that I saw, but it's probably Jack and Jason Hunt for Bigfoot.
I'm sure it is.
So I am 100% all for Bigfoot hunting.
Of course.
I'm also all for people like Jason Mewes' stature of being the ones leading the charge, because I don't know what life skills he's developed in life, but it's definitely not tracking.
True. But also, like, Jason Mewes needs this.
Hey,
Jason Mewes needs this. Jack Osbourne really needs this.
So
that's the way this went. Jason, I really need this, man.
I need like, hey man, you believe in Bigfoot? Fuck yeah, dude, bro. All right, man, let's go look for him. Hey, listen, a little backstory that I always think is interesting. This is little backstory. So obviously people, I think, mostly know that Jason Mewes had a huge heroin issue for many years. Him and Jack Osbourne were very good friends even back then. They would go to the clubs. Like, there's a great story of him talking about him and Jack going and running into Paris Hilton, and then Jason Mewes making out with Paris Hilton, like just this craziness. So, but they also got clean together. And once they got clean, I think they called themselves the Bird Crew or something like that. They go out to clubs, they drink Red Bull, but they won't like do parties. And it was like him.
'Cause it gives you wings.
Yeah, him and
That's
Jack
why they're the
Osbourne,
Bird Club?
and they party all night. It was some super cheesy name.
Listen,
they've been friends for a long time.
Did you send a link to this? Because
yeah, it's in the.
I'm looking this up on the Google. There are like 3 links, and none of them talk about Jason Osbourne or Jack Osbourne or Jason Mewes. They're not saying anything about this. There's no thing on IMDb. I think this article that you sent, you wrote.
So I will say it's from comicbook.com.
I do see that.
And I mean, it's pretty straight. Like
Jason Osbourne, Night of Terror, Bigfoot. Okay, it's a real thing according to comicbook.com. I'm looking this up. I've not seen anything else on this. It's not on his IMDb.
June 26th. So it comes out
that soon.
Yeah, this is about the drop. And so it's Jack Osbourne's Night of Terror.
Are we adding this to our list of what we're going to be watching? We have to buy Discovery Plus now.
Actually, I'm already subscribed.
Oh, okay.
I have to at least watch the first episode. I don't know if I'll follow it up. You don't know if something's real or not until you made an attempt to find it, quoted Osbourne. That's the crux of our mission, and I'm not going to lie, I'm a bit nervous. The area we have to cover is immersive and very dangerous. Animals like grizzly bears and mountain lions also lurking in the shadows. There's no telling what will come stumbling out of the woods. Hopefully it's Jay and me in one piece.
I've never done anything like this. It's pretty crazy, Mewes added. I'll be excited to see if we can find proof, and then even more awesome if we can name it. I'd call it Museborn. God, this is quality TV, guys.
It's going to be quality TV. Hey, you know what? Good for those guys staying sober and finding dumb shit like this to do.
This is the dumb kind of stuff that if we were famous, I would love for us to do some stupid shit like this.
I gladly go hunt for. I didn't talk about earlier.
Ghost hunters.
I watched a documentary and it's called Sasquatch. I think it's on Hulu, and it's a true crime.
Oh, you haven't mentioned this.
This just made me think about it. It's a true crime story about this guy. He's a investigative journalist who has all types of credentials, and in the 80s or 90s, he goes to Northern California, Oregon, near Murder Mountain, essentially.
Okay.
If you guys ever watched that documentary, and he's hanging out with some friends that were dealing pot or growing pot. And one night these guys come up and they say, "Hey, we just ran upon 2 dead bodies that were ripped to shreds. Bigfoot got them."
Whoa.
And he, this happened some 30 odd years. So he's it's always stuck with me. I've always thought about it. So he returns to the area trying to investigate if people know about 2 guys getting killed by Bigfoot, and it fucking gets deeper and crazier than you would believe. So Bigfoot stories are always great, and you never know what you're going to get out of them. All right, so I think this is last on.
We're ending with a high note, man. You did a good job organizing this stuff.
Yeah. So there's a new video game coming out on Sony called Multiverse.
Is it Sony? I thought it was
It's Sony.
I thought it was the other one. What's the
Xbox? No, this is Sony. So Sony has this game called Multiverse, and I don't really honestly know much about it, but they just released that they have 2 new characters that will eventually come out. Now, this might, reading the article I read, it might not be the launch characters. These might be some DLCs, but Ted Lasso and Scorpion from Mortal Kombat.
So if you're it's going to be PlayStation 5, 4, and Xbox and PC. So you are covered. If you want to fight Scorpion with Ted Lasso,
you're good to go.
And like we discussed earlier in the episode, if you haven't seen Ted Lasso, go subscribe to Apple TV, and you can watch through that to see how badass Ted Lasso is to whoop up on Scorpion's ass.
Like I said, I don't think Lasso will fight Scorpion. I think he will believe in him, and he will get him to come over here.
Have some tea with him. He's going to bring little biscuits to Scorpion until they're best friends.
Yeah.
They're going to go out for tea time.
And they'll be best friends. Just hang out.
Best friends.
And he'll actually help him improve his technique.
Yeah. And he'll prove that the best way to get back at someone is to live a good life, Yeah. Just live. Just believe. Believe. Do yourself. Be yourself.
So
it's good times.
This episode has ran a little bit longer than we'll usually run, but hey, we just got back. This has been the first time. We had a lot to talk about, so we hope you've enjoyed it. I want to finish this episode with a little fan theory.
Oh.
I'm gonna throw this at you.
I thought these were going to be like words of wisdom or something.
No, I don't have any of those.
Something for you guys to live by.
If I ever give you words of wisdom, do the opposite.
Run the other way.
All right, so here's my fan theory of this week. So Peter Pan never wants his lost boys to grow up. And so once they do, he kills them. as they no longer fit into his ideal version of Netherland. The theory generally points that Captain Hook and the other pirates being former Lost Boys who grew up in escape pan before he could kill them. So by this theory, Hook is the good guy. That is the fan theory. Any thoughts on that one?
I do like the idea of, I don't know about the like Pan murdering the Lost Boys, but I do like the idea of when they grow too old, they go over to Hook's side. They've grown up and they realize like maybe he's, I don't know, maybe he's keeping those, like he's keeping all those kids young, and eventually they learn something, and that's when they start growing up, and then they get kicked out of the Lost Boys and go on. I'm not wild about the murdering part.
Well, if anything I learned from Sweet Pete and
Sweet
Rescue
Pete.
Rangers, he probably would kill him.
That's honest. That's true.
So
he did carry that dagger.
He did. He had a dagger. It was full of killing. Yep. Well, this has been NWGLS returning for 2022.
Finally,
I guess we're back.
I don't know. We'll see.
Well, tune in. We'll be here at least next Sunday, and then we'll see what happens from there.
We'll see.
And
according to how much weed eating I have to do that day.
How much
gardening.
I was surprised you didn't bring any pickled vegetables for me to try. Well, I'm Nathan.
I'm Ray.
Thanks for listening.